Got a crash 40 eastbound right before White Bridge Pike, Briley Parkway West. Another one, South Nashville. This is 40 westbound near Fessler's Lane, exit 212. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, hello, kids. Fancy meeting you here. It is Monday. It is just after 3 o'clock, and my name is Matt Murphy. Conveniently, this is the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I am as pleased as punch to be here for the next 4 hours. I hope you're able to spend it with us. Whatever amount of time you're able to give us, we're certainly appreciative of that time. Let me, if you will, get the pleasantries out of the way. We'll get this show lumbering under its own weight. It is episode 727. of my time together with you on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is Locks for Trump Day 317. Man, oh man, we're going to get into the 320s before I have permission to cut it. We are on a number of platforms on this Monday, January 13th, to include obviously the radio station 99.7 FM from Alabama to Kentucky and all points in between. We're also on a variety of different apps. You can really, anywhere you download music or information or news or podcast, download us, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You're also able to download our own app and take us wherever you want to go on your smartphone or whatever technology you're utilizing. And then, of course, there's Super Talk TV. Talk TV is up and running, and you're invited to be a part of it. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Those are the four platforms. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Like and subscribe us. Do that little thumbs up thing. That helps us out. We appreciate you doing so. And thank you to U.S. Pest for bringing you not only Talk TV, but every hour of the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. There, I'll tell you what the guests are and what the guests aren't coming up after I say hello to my good friends, colleagues, and really the people that make these gears go. Chris Weber is first up. Hello, Mr. Weber.
Good afternoon, Mr. Murphy.
Did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah?
Stayed inside, stayed warm.
Yeah? Played in the snow?
No, I did not.
You did not play in the snow?
I did not play in the snow.
Did you walk in the snow?
No, I did not.
Did you cavort?
I did get out and ride around a little bit on Saturday.
All right. Well,
that's about as far as I went.
I would consider that playing in the snow.
Yeah.
Ken Weaver's back in the news closet B, gathering headlines. As we speak, I hear him tippy-tapping away. Hello, Mr. Weaver.
How about you?
How's it going?
Going good.
Did you cavort or play in the snow?
What's cavort?
Cavort is, I think cavort is just another way to say play. I was trying to trip Weber up.
Oh, no, I didn't play at all.
I don't even know what cavort means. I just used the word.
Right. I think that's
cavort.
Kind of frolic.
Well, sure. Yeah. Frolic. Did you frolic?
No, I did not. Not in the snow, anyway.
Okay, then.
I mean, I don't know that we wanted to go blue at 3:08, but all right, whatever. You know, we can do that too. See what happens to Weaver. He spends one day in the breakfast nook, and this is what he brings back with him.
Yeah.
One day in his soft clothes, delivering and gathering news items.
I did have a nice T-shirt on.
And what did it say? Anything good?
And there was nothing on it. It was just purple.
Mm-hmm.
No stains.
Yeah, no stains. And just had a great pair of sweats on.
Oh, yeah. I like that. I got a T-shirt. I was wearing a T-shirt over the weekend that I got for Christmas. It's got a car on it with a big Christmas tree. It says, "It's a Butte, Clark."
Ooh.
That's a good one.
I like it.
Yeah, that's a solid one.
Yeah.
Munson, a lot of you have asked about Munson. Yeah. Munson was frolicking in the snow over the weekend.
Right.
The snow kind of revitalized the juices there, so he was having a good time.
Good for little fella.
As was Mrs. Beasley. She did not like. She doesn't like when the snow touches her hindquarters. Doesn't like it at all.
I don't think I would like it.
No,
I don't blame her.
That's true.
No, sir.
So it was. There was some. I luckily prepared early on the Ms. Beasley front because I put two large tarps down on the side yard.
Yeah.
Let the snow hit the tarp. Then the tarp is slick enough you can just kind of whisk the snow off the tarp, flip the tarp over, and then you got some, grass for Mrs. Beasley to go pee on.
Yeah.
Good thinking.
Of course, she didn't want to stay in that area. She wanted to go in the snowy area where she would not pee. But that's another story for another day. And also, Gary the Groundhog, just fine. He came out and checked the snow out. He's supposed to be, I don't know why he's not hibernating. I think it's probably because we keep feeding him sweet potatoes.
That'll do it.
What do you think?
Yep. No reason to hibernate.
And look, Gary likes sweet potatoes. Gary could give a rip about apples. I mean, apples will stay there for days on end. A sweet potato doesn't make it 10 minutes.
Well, there's no seeds in it.
I mean, is that why, Ken?
Yeah, you got seeds in an apple. And that Gary probably doesn't like anything getting in his way.
That sweet potato, you can just
he's already got to dig himself up to get food. So...
Well, true that. I mean, maybe that's true. I mean, there might be something to it. I just thought, Gary didn't like fruit.
Path of least resistance for Gary.
Well, we'll try to take the path of least resistance. Great segue here to the news stories that matter to you today. We're going to start. I mean, obviously the weather was impactful for a lot of folks, and thankfully it does not seem as if it was negatively impactful for us. I mean, it was just a lot of snow coming on Friday, and it was all the raid. I mean, I'm sure everybody had a good time with it on Saturday, made snow people, snow monsters, snow men, snow women. Identify their pronouns and go with that, whatever. And then and now it's virtually gone, which is the way that it should be.
Yep.
It's perfect. It's why I love living in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, we have a couple of days of it and then
it's significant. It's not like a stupid dusting like you get in Alabama or Georgia.
Yeah.
It's enough that you feel like you got a good snow, and then it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go.
Just right.
I absolutely love it. And more coming maybe this weekend. I heard that.
Goodness gracious.
That's what I was told, Weaver. That's the word on the street is. Now, they can't forecast 2 days in advance if their butts or lives depended on it, but what I hear now, right now, they're saying it's going to be a little too hot on Friday and Saturday for it actually to be snow, but if the forecast dips a little bit, maybe some more wintry precipitation over the weekend.
Well, let's hope it doesn't.
Ken Weaver, snow skeptic on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll take your telephone calls all afternoon long on a variety of topics to include what's going on out in California, I should say. It is bad, and it's getting worse today. There are major events happening in California that could affect in a dramatically negative way the fight that is ongoing. And I want to distinguish something. The leadership in California is absolutely atrocious. And I think most of us observing this with any sort of objectivity recognize that. Sadly, they're focused on nonsensical stuff like climate change and the snail darter or the smelt fish or whatever the hell it is, and not focused on those real issues that they ought to be focused on because these things happen with regularity out there. And we're talking Gavin Newsom. We're talking the DEI triumvirate of the Los Angeles Fire Department. We're talking about Mayor Karen Bass, who's weird. I've not really taken a look at Mayor Karen. I mean, I knew Karen Bass was a socialist. We understood that she came in with that mindset. But I've not really observed her on camera very much. Have y'all noticed that this woman is an absolute weirdo? I mean, beyond her politics, she is a weirdo. She delivered a statement to her. I mean, she loves saying, what do they call residents of Los Angeles? Angelinos. She loves saying the word Angelinos. Absolutely loves saying it. And so every time she's on camera, she's talking about Angelinos, my fellow Angelinos. Shut up. This video that I'm about to share with you is weird in as much as she's acting like everything's just fine. Everything's not just fine. Her leadership's not just fine. The leadership of the Los Angeles Fire Department, not just fine. But the fact that as she's delivering the video, as it's being recorded, she has her hands in her pockets and will not take her hands out of her pockets. Hands in her pockets. Which indicates to me that you're not willing to get those hands dirty. You're not willing to do the work. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's psychosomatic. I don't know. Hands in her pockets. And this weird, my grandpa had a way with words. And he would call, she's grinning like a mule eating briars. She's got this poop-eating grin on her face, and I don't know why. People are dead. I mean, people's material lives have been destroyed. All of their property has, thousands and thousands of people. And she's looking into the camera, grinning.
Angelinos, we're still going through it. And to any of you and all of you that have experienced a loss, the grief, the anger, the just utter shock, I've seen the devastation. It is unbelievable.
The woman is, and go to my X page, at Matt Murphy Show, and you can see the video there. You can find it. You just type in her name, or find me, at Matt Murphy Show. It is hard for me to describe to you. She's saying the words, the devastation is unimaginable, and she's smiling. It's weird. This woman has something wrong with her.
Angelinos, we're still going through it. And to any of you and all of you that have experienced a loss, the grief, the anger, the just utter shock, I've seen the devastation.
Smiling.
It is unbelievable the amount of loss that people have experienced.
Smiling.
But we have to get through this crisis, and I know that we will. I was at the Sylmar command post today, and I saw the work of our first responders and how they've been able to defeat the fires in certain areas. We know we still have much more to go, and we know the winds are going to kick up again. But we got to stick together. We got to stand strong.
Smiling.
And then we have to rebuild our city. We're the nation's second largest city, one of the greatest cities in the world. And we stay together, and we will rebuild an amazing city. So thank you, Angelinos. And my thoughts and prayers are out to all of you that are going through unbelievable loss and pain today. We will get through this.
Well, no thanks to you. The mayor of Los Angeles has been an absolute disaster. I mean, obviously, we could go over her pronouncements that she was not going to go out of country as mayor of Los Angeles. That came out over the weekend. She said, as she was running for mayor, I'm not going out of the country. I'm going to be focused on Los Angeles. She was actually out of the country, left the country when she knew this was a possibility, and stayed out of the country until it became so devastating it forced her to return. She was also at the Paris Olympics and whatever. This calls into question in my mind whether or not Los Angeles can handle hosting the, 2028? Is that right? 2028 Olympics?
Yes, I think that's
Did
right.
the Olympics just happen last year?
I believe so.
I'm kind of over the Olympics. I used to love the Olympics, but now I'm over it.
Yep, 2028.
2028. Thank you very much, Mr. Weber. So there's Karen Bass. And hey, we'll get through this together. Angelinos, we'll get through this together. Now, some of you have expressed, and rightly so, confusion as to how Los Angeles can receive so much federal help so quickly when it seemed to come in drips and drabs and not very much of it in our neck of the woods when we experienced a natural disaster along the lines of this one in a very different fashion. Obviously, fire and flood and wind, two different things. Hurricane Helene devastated portions of the southeast last fall, and there are still individuals that are living in tents. There are still individuals that have not been made whole. There are still individuals waiting on some form of government aid or assistance. You guys know my feeling on FEMA. I think there's a better way to do this. I think that it is not necessarily the federal government's role or responsibility to handle these types of incidents, but that falls on deaf ears when people are suffering. I'm not going to harp, I should say, on that point. We can talk theoretically about what the role of the federal government versus the state government truly is, and I just have some functional disagreement with the role that FEMA has in these types of natural disasters. FEMA comes in, and all they are regulations and a checkbook, and that checkbook comes from free money that is fake. They make the money up, and then they give it to you. Adding to our federal debt, adding to government bloat, adding to federal responsibilities that aren't really federal responsibilities, and they don't do anything as good as the local communities. All of that to say, it is wrong if they're treating one part of the country based on their political beliefs differently than another part of the country. We're going to dissect that at 3:35 today with our good friend Steve Antle. We've talked to Steve no less than, 20 times probably, maybe a few more. We were talking to him once every couple of days at one point. He is in Fairview, North Carolina, which is kind of the epicenter of where Hurricane Helene hit in North Carolina. And I'm aware that there are portions of East Tennessee that were hit very hard. There are portions of Georgia. My hometown, as a matter of fact, Thompson, no P in Thompson, Thomson, also got hit and hurt. And we'll talk to Steve about what their needs currently are and cut through some of the clatter. You never know what is real and what is not real on social media platforms. I mean, well, you can kind of figure it out by using the brain that God gave you, but oftentimes it's difficult as it's ever been to cut through what is real and what perhaps is not real. But to get boots on the ground and eyeballs on the ground, that's the important thing, and we'll do that coming up in just a couple of minutes. In the 4 o'clock hour, we welcome to the program Dr. Carol Swain, who is right here in Middle Tennessee. And Dr. Swain has a new book out, and we've been trying to get her back on for some time. Very curious to hear her thoughts about the inauguration of Donald J. Trump. Coming up in 1 week. 1 week. 7 days, baby. I'm very ready. Now, for the pomp and circumstance of the ceremony itself, I just want to get it done, over with, and behind us. What I'm ready for is the administration itself. We're going to discuss that in the second and third hour of the broadcast today. Dr. Carol Swain in the 4 o'clock hour. Now, originally we were prepared to speak with Governor Bill Lee today. Governor Lee was coming by via phone at around 4 o'clock. We have had to shift that, per his request, till tomorrow. There are some things that they have not made me privy to, but I can use the brain that God gave me to figure some of this out. You know, the regular session starts in the General Assembly tomorrow. And the big lift on the regular session is this Education Choice Bill, also known as the Freedom Act or the Freedom Scholarship Plan. There are a lot of different names for it. And it's going to be relatively debated in terms of the supermajority for Republicans in the General Assembly. In other words, it's going to be a lift that needs to be focused on exclusively in the General Assembly. At least that is what I'm hearing out of the governor's office. I'll explain all of that. He's coming on tomorrow at 5 o'clock. We got a lot of guests this week, a lot of names this week. Freddie O'Connell's coming by. Glenn Jacobs, mayor of Knox County, is going to stop by tomorrow. We got a lot to get to, a lot to do. It's going to be a busy week, a busy day. We got the fires. We got the politics of the General Assembly. We got Joe Biden claiming that not only did he leave the best economy on planet Earth for Donald Trump, but he also left the best foreign policy on planet Earth for Donald Trump. Said that earlier today, which is just a load of horse manure. And that's all to come, and who knows what's going to pop up as the afternoon goes on. It's 22 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It can be hard to find someone that you trust when it comes to home repairs like your heater. But if your heater is not working as it should, I have a name for you. I have a company that I believe in. The name is Jeff Eddy, and the company is Efficient Heating and Cooling. If you're trying to make the decision whether to replace or repair your unit, odds are if you've called some other name, they've told you to replace it because that's what they do, right? It's easier that way, and they make more money. Jeff Eddy wants you to consider whether or not it might save you money in terms of life of your heater to repair it for the next several years. He will give you all of the information that you need to make an informed and educated decision. And it's one of the things that sets him apart from the other guys. He never charges you overtime at nights or weekends because he knows your heater doesn't know what time it is when he goes out. Plus, never over $125 for a maintenance call from Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. When the time comes to replace, they're an Elite Pro partner with Rheem, and they can recommend the right unit for you. Go to efficienthvac.net, efficienthvac.net, or call 615-784-4424, 784-4424 for Efficient.
Things are not getting better with the Los Angeles wildfires. And here in Middle Tennessee, Hendersonville police investigating their first murder of the new year. Details at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Ken Weaver, 27 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good afternoon to all. Man, it's a gorgeous day.
Yes, it is.
Beautiful.
Lovely.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It is, there has to be a word for the way the atmosphere looks at night when snow's on the ground.
It looks almost like daylight.
It does look like daylight.
Yeah.
I noticed that the other night when just the blanket of white snow, and obviously I understand that it's, whatever, reflection and things bouncing off the white, but there has to be a word for it, and one of our loyal listeners will know it on the Super Text line.
I'm sure they will.
Speaking of the Super Text line, by the way, I already got a love letter.
Already?
Yeah. I don't know what this means, by the way. So 4963, who is not a fan, says, "You joke of a mirror? If your grandpa had a way with words, why don't you? Can't wait until you're removed." Oh.
Wow.
I responded, "Thank you for listening. I appreciate the words of encouragement. Let me know how I can serve better."
Man.
See if I get anything back. I mean, normally I don't get those types of things until like hour 4.
I would have asked, what did I do? I just started talking.
I don't know. I am a joke of a mirror.
I don't know about that one.
Well, this guy, I'm just looking back. By the way, if you're texting the Super Text line, just so you know, I love the people that say that they never listen when they text the Super Text line, the hater listeners.
Yep.
And I can go back and see the amount of times that you've corresponded with the various shows.
Yep.
And this guy's all over the joint, and he doesn't like anybody. I think I'm in good company. He didn't like Brian. I'm looking here. He does not like Hand, I think. Yeah, I'm looking at that. Don't really see any comments. Maybe this is Mandis. I mean, he hates everybody, but he doesn't hate man. Maybe this is a secret little Dan thing here. Well, Matt's being, anyway, I won't go any further than that. Y'all text us anytime you want at 615-737-9986. You're also invited to give us a call, and as the phones function, we will accept said telephone calls, and they're not functioning in here for me, but according to Chris Webber, they're just fine. I got a word of warning for what I am about to see happening in Tennessee politics, and it is a warning based on personal and professional experience in the state of Alabama, because it is my understanding that there are currently some deals being made and some, I don't even say that any of this is underhanded, but, there's a governor's race that's coming up. And believe it or not, the governor's race we're going to start talking about it very soon. And I'm hearing that there are already people jockeying to get in and to keep folks out. And things are being offered. I'm hearing. I don't know. I don't know anything. I'm just a loudmouth with a microphone. But I know what I'm hearing, and it sounds dangerously close to something that led Alabama down a path that ended up with a Democrat United States Senator named Doug Jones for 2 years. Now, eventually, that problem was repaired with Senator Tommy Tuberville. I'll tell you the story after we speak with Steve Antle, and we're doing that next after the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Los Angeles wildfires, winds are going to pick up in the next few days, potentially making things worse than they already are. Evacuation orders could be expanded. The death toll now at 24. Here in Middle Tennessee, Hendersonville police investigating their first murder of the new year. Channel 4's Steve Mailing says they're looking for an 18-year-old accused of killing a Nashville teenager.
They did say ever since releasing that suspect photo, they have received some tips from the public, but nothing has panned out just yet. Now, it was at this duplex on Volkow Drive where police responded to reports of shots fired yesterday afternoon. According to witnesses I spoke to on scene, they heard arguing inside the apartment on the left side of the duplex. Shortly after that, gunshots. The shooting left a 16-year-old Nashville teen dead, and police believe the shooter fled the area. Neighbors neighbors say they were shocked to learn about what happened, given they rarely even see police having to respond to anything on their street.
18-year-old Amani Jordan has been identified by police as the prime suspect. Winter storm update. A man faces charges for shooting at a family as they were sledding and playing in the snow in East Tennessee on Friday. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office says the mother says she heard gunshots and then saw snow fly up from the ground only a couple of feet from where her 1-year-old son was. Authorities say Benjamin Cook has a history of firing guns in the area and then telling people, "This hill is my private property." Cook now faces 6 charges of aggravated assault. Security preparations well underway in Washington, D.C. for Donald Trump's inauguration. Here's Olivia Rubin with the latest.
1 week until Donald Trump's inauguration and officials remaining on high alert. The biggest potential threat, they say, is the lone actor. That's according to Thomas Manger, the chief of the United States Capitol Police. He notes there were 2 of those incidents last week at the Capitol. One person trying to bring in knives and a machete, the other trying to set his car on fire. Both of them stopped.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Crashes. We've got 140 eastbound right before White Bridge Pike, Briley Parkway West. Another one westbound 40 near Fessler's Lane. Bell Road at Hickory Hollow Parkway. And then West Trinity Lane just east of Whites Creek Pike and Baptist World Center Drive. That's traffic. And we've got it every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, gentlemen. Let's talk specifically about your health for just a moment. Now, you ladies listening in the audience, you can listen up because if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, or drive in your fella, if you've noticed some of this manifesting itself in the bedroom, obviously intimacy is so important to relationships, and we need to keep that intimacy going, and there is an option for you at Tennessee Men's Clinic. Tennessee Men's Clinic will get to the bottom of these issues, figure out what's going on, and prescribe a recipe for success. And that can come in a variety of different forms. A lot of this manifests itself from low T levels. And if you're worried that you have that, you need to get to Tennessee Men's Clinic because you don't have to live like that. You don't have to just say, well, this is the way it goes when I reach 50 years old or however old you might be. Let's get with the Tennessee Men's Clinic and get with the program. Tennessee Men's Clinic online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. They're also 2 different locations to serve you. They've had their Midtown shop since 2014. Evan Bass opened the Cool Springs shop a couple of years ago, and it's going like gangbusters as well. Call for an appointment today for either location at 615-208-9090, 208-9090 for Tennessee Men's Clinic.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Story time with Murphy coming up a little bit later on. Also, Mark Zuckerberg, I mean, this dude is getting religion quick. I mean, really, really, really quick. And I don't buy it for a second, but if the results are good, then okay. He had this incredible conversation going with Joe Rogan Friday. I got a chance to look at some of it over the weekend, and I'll share my thoughts. And now he is now he's saying that not only, they're eliminating DEI programs, they're eliminating third-party censorship on the platform, and now he's starting to tell tales about how the Biden administration went after Facebook. Now, I do not give you a pass for not manning up at the time and telling them to stop at the time and announcing what they were doing at the time. I don't give you a pass for that. But if you've got religion now, I'll take a wait-and-see attitude. Look, we need a good Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg is going to be there. Facebook's going to be there. Do you want a good Facebook or a bad Facebook? And I understand some of you are never going to forgive, and I get it. I clearly get it. But this is, boy, oh boy, we're getting religion quick over there. More coming up on that. Also, we will find out from Chris Webber and Ken Weaver what their favorite bingeable programs on any platform are later on. Because I binged something over the weekend.
Oh, yeah?
And it is probably as good now in season 4 as it was at the beginning when I started binging it. And I'm gonna tell you about it coming up in just a little bit. Right now, however, we talk to, I can't do it, I don't think. We'll talk to Steve Antle, who is in Fairview, North Carolina. We've talked regularly with Steve regarding the goings-on over there, cutting through the clatter and getting to the truth, and I always appreciate his time. Steve, good afternoon. I hope you're well.
Good afternoon, Matt. You've been in my thoughts and prayers with Munson. You and I are we're on the same page when it comes to dogs. So
yeah, I'd say all the time, Steve, dogs are better than I like dogs better than people because they deserve it.
You had me in tears that day when you were talking about it on the radio.
Well, he's doing all right. We've got just since you asked, Steve, I'll update everybody at once. We've got our oncologist appointment with Munson on the 21st, and we'll find out more then. He's fine. He's keeping food down. He got some energy over the weekend. He was playing in the snow over the weekend, which I like to see. So that's good. He seems all good. Tell me how you guys are doing over in North Carolina.
Well, we're plugging along. We're a little frustrated. We're particularly frustrated, and I can speak for a large amount of people that I've talked to in the community. We're frustrated with what we're seeing in the differences between the mindset of the government related to California and here. And I want to preface that by saying, I've got very close friends in Southern California, and I've got 2 close friends that lost their homes in the Palisade fires. And one of those ladies has been one of the people that was instrumental in giving us financial assistance when everything happened here. So we're trying now to turn around and do what we can for her. But I guess, when I heard Biden the other day at a press conference, and he said, we're going to pay 100% of debris removal and other costs for 6 months out there. I know for a fact we never heard anything like that here. And here we are 108 days in, and we still have virtually everywhere you drive, there is still debris that hasn't been touched. And I don't think that the federal government has ever, throughout all of this, I really don't think they've grasped the magnitude of what happened here and the magnitude of what it's going to take to get everybody back to a good place.
I want to start with the trying to give a modicum of the benefit of the doubt. I hesitate to even do this, but I want to start there. I mean, obviously, the terrain, the topography, the circumstances are dramatically different.
Yes.
And I get that. I understand that. But there is no excuse, in my opinion, for making how do the people of North Carolina, how do your friends and neighbors and the people that you're working with continuing to try to rebuild your lives, how does that sit with y'all that you never heard anything like we're gonna take care of 100% of the cost? What y'all heard, it's my understanding, Steve, was here's a check for $750.
Yeah, I mean, that has been pretty much it for, the last 3 months. Now, this business with the FEMA and the housing, that's particularly griped a lot of people here. It's even got the attention of our local authorities and leaders and so forth. And Asheville is a very liberal city. Buncombe County is an enclave of blue in a sea of red. Most of western North Carolina is more of a Republican or conservative area, but Asheville's very blue, so it takes a lot to get the blue leaders here riled up at fellow Democrats. But when this FEMA business came about, that really did the trick. They have 5,700 5,700 households are currently in the transitional housing for FEMA. And they are ending that housing for 3,500 of those. So that's, 2/3. And they put the date out arbitrarily, the cutoff date, and it just happened to coincide with this major winter storm. And it was like they were tone deaf about what was going on in reality on the ground versus their arbitrary deadline, which I think that was a 90 or 100 days. So pretty much that's all you get. Now, they cover themselves by saying that we're still helping people, but we're doing it on a case-by-case basis. But to understand the amount of hoops that people have to jump through to continuously maintain membership or participation in the program, you wonder how on earth are these people going to do that and juggle all the other things that they have going on in their life.
So how many people would you say are still reliant on FEMA-based housing, temporary housing?
Well,
or is that possible to say?
I couldn't give you a number on it. They go by households. They're in their wording. So a household could be one person, or it could be 4 or 5 or 6.
I guess I should say households too. So, I mean,
5,700 households are still currently in the program.
I got you.
And 3,500 of those households are ending tomorrow morning.
And there's no relief? You're hearing nothing from the federal government about making an extension?
Well, so supposedly the way it's worded is they say, let me back up. So when you go into transitional housing, when you're in that process and while you're staying there, you have to go through a series of inspections and re-inspections of your property, of your circumstances, and so forth. And those have to be done like on a constantly recurring basis. And so now they've ended all of the people, they've ended it for the bulk of the people tomorrow. Now they will do case-by-case basis re-inspections and eligibility inspections going forward, but they're only doing them in about 2 to 2.5 week intervals. So I think the next one, if you were to get re-inspected or re-evaluated today, then January 27th is the next date. So you're constantly living on these deadlines. I have to get this done, X, Y, Z, before this X date. And it's very, very frustrating. And the other thing is people are having a very difficult time getting a hold of FEMA on the phones. They put out the phone numbers to call, and when you call, you either don't get an answer, or you get put on eternal hold, or you get somebody who tells you to call a different number and call a different number and so forth. So the bureaucracy of it is the real, pressing issue. And people just get fed up with it. And so, we have in our community, we have the equivalent of Nashville Rescue Mission. Here it's the Asheville Buncombe, I can't remember, Christian Ministries, ABCCM. And they have decided to step in and take over the cost of these hotel rooms for people that can't work out their situation before the deadline tomorrow. So once again, volunteer organizations and people like that are stepping in to fill the breach, which is really what we've been doing since the beginning. If you want to know the truth, I mean, it's always fallen back to those individuals.
Well, and obviously I understand that. You understand that far better than me, Steve. You're on the ground. What are the outside of the I mean, do you have a belief that this will be extended, or is there any way?
I just think that they're just going to start whittling away, and using the process of attrition, they're just going to keep getting rid of more and more people.
I want to back up. Hold on. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to back up for a second. So when we say FEMA-based housing assistance, is that hotel rooms? Is that rental structures? Is that trailers? What is that?
Well, it's typically not trailers, but it is hotel rooms. It is, I guess, it's things equivalent to Airbnbs, condos that the federal government entered into contracts with. It's that kind of housing. It's temporary housing that the federal government came in and they made arrangements with whoever owns it to say, okay, we're going to place people here and we're going to be paying the cost for it.
So I want to play, Stephen, you and I talked for a long time. We've been talking since really September. So I want to play devil's advocate with you and get your response. Okay?
Yep.
At some point, the federal government has to pull back.
Correct.
What do you say to that? Because is this too soon in your opinion? How much longer do you think the citizens of Fairview need in order to figure it out?
My opinion is that this should have been implemented for 6 months at least. It should have been implemented long enough to at least let people not have to deal with inclement weather and all the issues that are attendant with that up here in the mountains, and then and give people. I think 6 months is a good round figure as far as giving people a fair opportunity to make arrangements.
So through the end of
90 days is not.
We need the end of March is what you're talking about. I mean, if you pull that back, I mean, so you're talking the end of March into April.
Yes.
Well, we need to figure out how to make that happen.
Yes, and the other thing is that the way that they communicate with people here has compounded the problem. So people here that are affected are in a state of transition. So when FEMA calls you, maybe they don't answer. Maybe they're not staying with that person anymore that has that phone number. Maybe their phone number's changed. Maybe they've lost their cell phone. Maybe something has happened. So FEMA, when they make an attempt to contact the people, if they don't get a response, they just chalk it up to say, oh, okay, we can't get a hold of them, and close the case. And there were a whole lot of people like that were, they attempted to contact them, apparently. They say they attempted to contact them, but didn't make contact. And then the next thing you know, the people are being told, by the way, you've got to get out tomorrow, by the wherever they're staying. So, it's just
if there's an update on that coming, when would it come? I mean,
well, I don't know. There's a big push right now. There's actually been some street protests, and there's been a lot of heat put down about this.
Yeah.
And so I think in the next few days we might see changes. We might also see changes after January 20th, if you know what I mean.
I do.
Because
I do. I think help is on the way. I think if you can hold out, that was what I was going to end with, is I think if you guys in Fairview and in the surrounding communities in western North Carolina and eastern Tennessee. If y'all can hold out for another 7 days, I think the cavalry's coming.
Well, when I talked to my Fox News reporter about this story the other day, she had already reached out to the Trump team, and so I'm expecting there to be some news about this in the next few days, we hope. She wanted to make sure they were aware of what was going on and get a response.
In the 20 seconds that I have left, Steve, what can we do for you in the immediate term?
Just keep doing what everybody's doing. I still wake up every other day with donation money. I still get calls every day to go help people. I dropped off 2 heaters this afternoon while I was out at work. So, we're just doing what we do. If somebody calls or posts something on Facebook and they need such and such, then we do it. We get it done.
Find him.
If they want to keep.
Well, find him on Facebook. It's Antle, Steve Antle. And Steve, hit me up if there's anything we need to know, and I'll deliver the news ASAP. Thank you for the call today. Thank you for the update. I'm sorry we've got to run, but we do. We're very late. It's 54 after the hour on Super Talk. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy, and I'm so excited about Brentwood Hearing Center and their brand new announcement about the Phonak Sphere that I've been telling you about. The leadership team discovered the Phonak Sphere recently. It's a revolutionary new hearing aid. It is dedicated to helping patients hear well in situations where there is extensive background noise. Ronnie and his team want to introduce this hearing device to you or a family member. If you have someone in your family or a loved one, a friend, part of your inner circle or group that can't hear well in group settings, in sporting arenas, or in places where there's a lot of background noise, the Phonak Sphere is the way to go. Now, if you have difficulty hearing at all, or you have a family member that has difficulty hearing, get in with Brentwood Hearing Center and allow their team of audiologists to go over your hearing loss and to find out what they can do for you. The technology is absolutely amazing. Give Brentwood Hearing Center a call today at 615-377-0420. 377-0420, or visit them online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. Don't forget to mention the Phonak Sphere and Matt Murphy when you make the call. Brentwood Hearing Center, better hearing for a better life.
4 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes, and right now in Nashville. That big transit plan has survived a legal challenge brought by a group that claims it's against state law and misled voters as to how much it's actually going to cost. Voters in November, nearly 2-1, approved the plan, advertised as $3.1 billion, to make changes to the bus systems, sidewalks, and traffic signals over several years to be paid for in part by a half-cent sales tax increase. Well, Chancellor Ann Martin today rejected the claims of the committee to stop an unfair tax, saying Metro can proceed. So for now, the Tennessean says the sales tax increase goes into effect on February 1st, as stated in the ordinance. The California wildfires death toll now up to 24, and authorities say the fire threat remains critical due to more high winds on the way. Evacuation orders could expand. Meanwhile, in our nation's capital,
the House Speaker says it appears to him that California leaders have been derelict in their duty.
Water resource mismanagement, forest management mistakes, all sorts of problems.
Mike Johnson says any aid to California should be conditioned. The sense here is that it's too soon to know how great the need is, but the Speaker indicated there are already conversations ongoing about tying aid for Southern California to an increase in the debt ceiling, perhaps in an effort to get Democrats and Republicans on board behind it.
That's Stephen Portnoy reporting. Another 150,000 borrowers' student loan debt is canceled. President Joe Biden announcing today these new beneficiaries include more than 60,000 borrowers with total and permanent disabilities, more than 6,000 public service workers, Biden says in the release. Elsewhere in our nation's capital,
security preparations well underway for the inauguration, now just 1 week away. A key part of that, fencing.
More than 30 miles of anti-scale fence will be used for the inauguration, more than any other NSSE ever before.
That was Matt McCool from the Secret Service, who runs the FBI's Washington field office. Olivia Rubin, ABC News, Washington.
Confirmation hearing set to begin tomorrow morning for President-elect Trump's cabinet nominees. Senators will meet with Secretary of State nominee Marco Rubio, Pam Bondi for Attorney General, Kristi Noem for Homeland Security, Pete Hegseth for Defense Secretary. Tennessee 5th District Congressman Andy Ogles is among the House Freedom Caucus members who dined with the president-elect over the weekend to discuss kickstarting his administration. He tells WTN's Dan Mandis
he's strategically making sure that he's hearing from the House of Representatives because he's going to move fast. I mean, on his first day, he said at dinner he's going to do over 100 executive orders.
And Ogles says the president-elect is open to breaking up border and other important policies from tax policy, rather than giving him, quote, one big, beautiful bill. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Look, I like to win. I'm a very competitive guy, so I want to win the little friendly competition that Chris Hand, Dan Mandis, and yours truly, Matt Murphy, have over at the Glock store. And here's all you have to do. When you go to sign up for the Shoot270.com indoor range, where they have private rooms and a personal instructor, and it's simply better than lanes. It's a room. It's a range. I mean, it's a more real-world experience when it comes to training. You train with a personal instructor in that private room. Every session, you're a better shot. You are a better, more confident shooter. And in January, all you have to do is mention my name, double M, Matt Murphy, and you will get to shoot an H&K suppressed MP5 full auto, which is pretty BA. It's a BA H&K. Suppressed MP5. And if you need to ask what BA stands for, ask the gang at the Glock store when you make the call. So only in Nashville, the only place to train is at the world-famous Shoot 270 indoor ranges with your personal instructor. And for the month of January, I ask you to say, you buy the ammo, and they'll supply the full auto. Minutes away from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere online at GlockStore.com or Shoot270.com.
Antioch, crash at Bell Road in Hickory Hollow Parkway. 40 westbound near Fessler's Lane, got a crash, police on the scene. Charlotte Avenue at 28th. 40 eastbound before White Bridge Pike, Briley Parkway. Now 65 northbound in Madison near Old Hickory Boulevard. There is debris partially blocking the right lane. And back to Antioch now. We've got a crash on the right shoulder, 24 eastbound at Harding Place. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Is it wrong that I'm already excited about my nincompoop today at 5:35? I'm not forgetting the nincompoop segment today. I'll tell you that.
Got a good one, do you?
I got a good nincompoop.
All
Very,
right.
very excited. Speaking of nincompoops, my name is Matt Murphy. Yeah, see, I could have gone one of three directions
I was wondering
there.
where you're going to go.
Yeah, my name is Matt Murphy. This is the Matt Murphy Show. There's Chris Weber and Ken Weaver. Those are two guys that make the show worth watching and listening. You can find us online. Anywhere you stream music, news, information, stream us. And Supertalk 99.7 WTN. You can also find us on your good old radio, 99.7 FM. And then, of course, on the Supertalk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Any of those platforms will get you to Supertalk TV, and you can see my ugly face. You can see how long the locks for Trump are getting. I've got to figure out, by the by, man, I've got to figure out who's going to cut the old hair.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have a stylist?
I do not have a stylist. And if I did have a stylist, I would not admit it.
Dude, just get you some clippers and shave it.
Just I could just do the old ponytail and whack job, right? Just boom. I mean, or I could, agree to, in the spirit of his first 100 days, just go ahead and keep growing it. I don't know.
You could wax it.
What? Wax it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like his head or the hair? What are we waxing?
The head. The hair will come off.
Do the old Steve Carell from, what movie was that?
Oh, that's
that 40-year-old virgin?
40-year-old virgin.
But on your skull.
Which was fun fact, real.
It was real, yeah.
Yeah, he actually did it. And because he wanted the experience and said later that he
regretted it.
Yeah.
Dude, I think you need to keep growing it. I really do.
Well, I mean, I might, locks for Trump, there is a thought in the back of my noggin that locks for Trump might become locks of love.
Locks of love.
Because I'm already, well on my way. I think you have to have, 12 inches, something like that. I mean,
I'm not sure what the cutoff is.
I don't know what the cutoff is, but you have to have a certain amount before they're able to take it to make wigs and whatnot for those who are in need. But I might consider doing that.
Well, that's a good idea, Brother Murphy. That's actually a good idea.
I could be. I have one every once in a while.
And then you can just grow it again.
Just start over again. Because if you're blessed with being able to grow, because look, the good Lord did not bless. My head is proof that there is a God. And here's what I mean. And that he is fair and just. Because the good Lord blessed me with a nice head of hair. Mm-hmm. But underneath this head of hair is a horribly lumpy head. Have you noticed that the bald fellas, they have nice rounded domes?
Yep.
It seems.
Generally.
I mean, speaking generally, but I mean more specifically, look at Dan Mandis every morning on Nashville's Morning News.
It's like a, I don't know what.
It's like a light bulb.
It is like a light bulb, yeah. Yeah.
I love you, Dan. Kidding. I'm kidding, Dan. No, I love Dan Mandis, but it is. I mean, in my head, if I look down at the ground at a roughly 45-degree angle, you can set a Coke can on the top of my flat head. I think Mama left me in the crib too long. So the Lord said, let's let him keep his hair. I mean, come on. We're not going to do that to him. Yeah. But anyway, I got to figure it out. If you have a barbershop, a men-centric, please, barbershop, not a stylist, and you want to jump in on this, I think we ought to. I mean, if I decided to cut it, we could do some sort of, I don't know, promotion.
What about one of them places to give you a neck massage?
Well, I mean, those aren't bad, Ken.
Yeah.
A little.
I don't know if they're men-centric.
I don't think they are.
If you're getting a massage,
I've never been into a barbershop where you want a high and tight. And hey, while I'm trimming up those ear hairs, well, I'll go ahead and give you a little neck massage.
Rub you down there, big boy.
Otis, throw me the oil.
By the way, you have to have 10 inches tip to tip for a donation for locks for.
I feel like I'm close already.
You're getting there. Yeah.
I think we're getting pretty close. Tip to tip, that's how much they need to cut.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're close. Yeah. I mean, I'm all in. Heck, Ken Weaver, I think he's well on his way for a goatee of love.
I don't think anybody wants a permanent.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, for those who can't grow goatees, in those certain situations where they need one, you could donate your goatee of love.
You know what? It would be great for a mohawk.
Oh, it would be great for
goatee and
just
right down
stripe it right down there.
Yeah, make a good mohawk.
Just here's Weber, and I just throw some glue on, pat it down, and then off you go.
Come on down to the shop. We'll take care of it.
That kind of hurt when I just did that. I don't know why I did it that way. Anyway, Brian says, Mr. Murphy, I have a Great Clips coupon for $9.90. Come on, man.
There you go, man.
Great Clips.
Yes, sir.
Wigs for Kids is where I donate to. Okay. Well, I mean, if there's a better version of Locks of Love, I just say Locks of Love because that's the only one I know. But if there are different versions, I'll donate to anybody. All right. We were talking FEMA last hour. We will be talking with Dr. Carol Swain coming up in just a moment. She's got a new book out called A Gay Affair. We'll tell you everything you need to know about that book. Plus, I got story time with Matt Murphy on the way in just a couple of minutes involving look, I'm not saying I have any insight into what is going down, but I hear the rumors, right? And before you know it, we will be watching the campaign for governor develop before our very eyes. And as we watch the campaign for governor develop, the suspects, the usual suspects, will come out of the woodwork. And I'm very intrigued by this because there's not a lot of opportunity for movement or advancement in the state of Tennessee, because so few of these positions are elected positions. By that, I mean that in most states, and many of you already know this, I don't want to talk down to you, but for those of you in Aniana, the state of Alabama, as an example, and I could use the state of Georgia as another example, and in most other states, there are multiple statewide elected offices that are voted on every 4 years. For example, and I'm not saying that all of these should be voted on. As a matter of fact, I would disagree. Some of these constitutional offices need to be limited to appointment. But I'll give you the example of the state of Alabama, where I was for about 21 years. You have the governor. Now, I'm not talking about federal offices. I'm not talking about U.S. Senate. Obviously, we have 2 senators, and those are both elected statewide every 6 years, or staggered every 6 years. I'm talking about state offices. In Alabama, governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, treasurer, auditor, secretary of state. I know I'm missing some. Those are like 6, and all the judges. And in the state of Tennessee, none of those are elected. So these opportunities to offer yourself to further public service don't come around as much. I guess they come around as often, but not as much. So now that Governor Bill Lee has is in the midst of serving his second term, there are names that are coming out as to who will be running for governor. It's my understanding that Congressman John Rose, while he hasn't announced it yet, is thinking about strongly running for governor. That's an example. There are many that are attempting to lobby a few other Tennessee congressmen into service. As an example, I was speaking to someone over the weekend that very much wanted Tim Burchett to be a candidate for governor in 2026. I mean, we're just into 2025, but let me tell you, these announcements are coming in March or April, which is right around the corner. And then they'll, because before you know it, here we come, and then the primaries here, and in the state of Tennessee, is the primary not really the general election? I don't think anybody believes that a Democrat will be winning the governor's office anytime soon. One name that I have heard, now we heard Bill Hagerty for a minute, but it's my understanding that Bill Hagerty is very much focused on finishing the business during the Trump administration of getting the Senate right and getting a lot of the things that the Senate has not been able to accomplish over the last 4 years accomplished thanks to a majority in the House and a majority in the Senate. But it is my understanding that Marsha Blackburn is considering a run for governor. Now, I'm just curious. I have no thought on the matter other than I have heard it from enough sources that I'm curious. If I threw out the names John Rose, Tim Burchett, Marsha Blackburn, and Glenn Jacobs, the Knox County mayor, who will be on our show tomorrow in studio at 4 o'clock, and I'll ask him about this subject, obviously. His name has been thrown around, and it's my understanding that he has long considered where his next arena of public service might land him. And I'm not suggesting that any of these folks are, power hungry in any way. I think they are genuinely and earnestly looking for their next opportunity for public service. And I am told by people who are in the know that Marsha Blackburn feels that perhaps by 2026, she can best serve the state of Tennessee as governor. Whether you agree with that or not, I don't know. You tell me. 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986. I'm also told that there's moving and shaking going on with regard to who's in, who's out, who might run, who might not run. And it is a time-honored tradition in the world of politics, if you figure out who's going and who's not, to try to keep as many people out as possible. I mean, all of them will say the same thing, okay? All of them will say, oh, well, we welcome all comers. Like, let's say Matt Murphy was running for governor. I don't want to use Marsha, I don't want to use John, or I don't want to use anybody that might actually run. But let's suggest for a moment that I'm running for governor. Now, I would never run for governor because I got big old fat skeletons in my closet. Skeletons with meat fresh on them in my closet, and I have no interest in you examining and picking on those bones. That said, if I was running for governor, I would say to you, because Chris Webber would be peppering me with questions, because Chris Webber would now be the host of the afternoon show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Nobody wants that.
And Webber would be going, well, Murphy, what about all these other names that are in the race? That's what you'd be saying. That's the way you'd say it, too. And I would say to Chris, well, Chris, I welcome everybody. A rising tide lifts all boats. Oh, yeah, no, I'm in it. As many people as want to put their name out for public service, that's great. That's great. The more the merrier, because that's really going to sharpen the entire field, make us better, and that will help the state of Tennessee get better as a result. I will say that publicly. Privately, I don't want any of you people in the race with me. I want to be by myself on the ballot. I have no interest in any of you other people being in the race. And it's my understanding that there already is moving and shaking with regard to who's in and who's out. Questions, considerations, possible future appointments. You see, if Marsha were to decide to run, she would not have to resign her position as senator to do so. And if she were to win, then it's my understanding under the Tennessee law, she would have appointment authority as governor once she became the governor. Who would she appoint? Now, I might have, and I will need to check, because I would think that if, for example, if a sitting United States senator, let's not use Marshall, but if a sitting United States senator were to win the gubernatorial election, I don't believe that the governor would make that appointment until she was actually sworn in as governor. So that would give her appointment authority. That's very interesting. And it leads me to story time with Matt Murphy, which we'll get into in just a moment. Your thoughts on any of this, 615-737-9986. Plus, at 4:35 this afternoon, Dr. Carol Swain. She's on the way. It is The Murphy Show on Super Talk. You know, I think the rest of the host, Amandus and Chad Benson and Matt Murphy, should rise up and just eliminate that promo. I mean, it's so insulting, especially to Amandus. He's a little cutie. Dr. Gill and the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief wants to talk with you. If 2025 is dedicated to a year of getting rid of your pain, or if 2024 was debilitating in terms of pain, whether it's back pain, neck pain, knee pain, hip pain, elbow pain, wherever it might hurt, let's get with the Dr. Gill Center. Let's make 2025 the year that we eliminate and finally do something about the pain that is slowing you down. Obviously, they're a chiropractic care center, and they do chiropractic care better than anyone in the industry. But 30 years ago plus, Dr. Gill came in with brand new technologies like spinal decompression, red light therapy, the Class 5 laser system, all designed to pinpoint inflammation in the body, reduce pain, accelerate healing, and reduce swelling. And they do so on a daily basis. They've done it with my back, and they can do it with yours. Make the call that so many others have made to the Dr. Gill Center. You'll see relief immediately on your first appointment. 615-882-4838. That's 882-4838, or callmepainfree.com. The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief in Franklin.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
The new transit plan for Nashville has survived a legal challenge. We'll tell you about it at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Ken Weaver. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy and you until just after Ken Weaver's newscast coming up in just a few moments, and Dr. Carol Swain will join us. She's already here, as a matter of fact. I'm excited about the next conversation. We're going to finish this up real quick. So I'm not suggesting that this is about to happen in the state of Tennessee, but I will tell you a story about something that happened in Alabama. Voters are so smart. And I mean, obviously, you know, advertising has an impact. Monetary expenditure in political campaign races have an impact. Getting a message, a succinct and unified message, all these things. It's a very complex thing, especially if you're not running for, you know, a city council seat or a metro council seat or a mayor's office. If you're running for a statewide office in a state that has almost 10 million people, you've got to get the messaging out to a lot of people, and you've got to get down to where the goats can graze on it. I understand all of these things. But voters are very, very smart. So Governor Robert Bentley took office in the state of Alabama. Most did not give him a good shot of winning when he entered the race for governor. He filled a lane that, you know, I will say this. There were three major players in that race. There was Bradley Byrne, who was a state senator, and he had been the chancellor of the school systems in the state. Tim James, who was son of Fob James, who was a former governor and a businessman in the state, and an Auburn football player, so he was a name known, and Robert Bentley. I nicknamed Robert Bentley Snowball because I told Robert Bentley during our first conversation that I liked him a lot, but he didn't have a snowball's chance of hell of winning the governor's office, and he proved me wrong, and he got much delight reminding me of that until his subsequent downfall. Robert Bentley decided that chasing around his chief of staff in the governor's office and in the governor's mansion was more important to him than governing. So he got caught up in an affair that eventually led to his resignation. Before the affair came out, the appointment of Jeff Sessions happened. Jeff Sessions was a United States Senator from the state of Alabama, the first United States Senator to announce his endorsement for Donald Trump, and he had been the Attorney General of Alabama. And as a result, Donald Trump ultimately asked him to be his Attorney General for the White House. So obviously, Jeff Sessions accepted. And in Alabama, the appointment is made by the governor, and then there is an election, the next election cycle, for a permanent replacement. Governor Robert Bentley chose then Attorney General Luther Strange as the appointment to replace Jeff Sessions as a United States Senator. It was much discussed at the time, and it was well known in political circles that Robert Bentley did so that Luther Strange would back off an investigation on Robert Bentley for misusing state funds to cover up his affair. Y'all with me so far? Well, Robert Bentley denied it, and Luther Strange denied it, and everybody denied it. It eventually came out that all of this was true. And I don't know that it was ever proven that Robert Bentley and Luther Strange had a direct quid pro quo, but it's pretty obvious that he wanted any and all investigations to cease. Sadly for Robert Bentley, and to the benefit of the state of Alabama, when Attorney General Steve Marshall took Luther's place, he carried right on with the investigation and ultimately revealed that state monies had been used to cover up this affair. Why do I bring all of this up? Because Luther Strange was appointed, and he was then the quote-unquote incumbent senator for the next special election. And Luther Strange did not become the next senator from the state of Alabama. Not because Luther wasn't likable and not because he wasn't capable, because people don't like the idea of treating these Senate seats as they are the people's seat. They are not the politician's seat. And when you get into the business of trying to work over a system so that you promise people and make I'm not suggesting that any of this is going on, but I'm just telling you, when all of this shakes out, remember that you heard it here first. And I'm telling you, it's a recipe for disaster. Because if the people think that you think that's your seat and that's your appointment to make, they will push back against that fiercely, especially in the South. That's just from me to you. It's 31 after the hour. Dr. Carol Swain's with us, and she'll be here after Ken Weaver's newscast. And that's coming up now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, the Tennessean says a Chancery Court judge has rejected a lawsuit that seeks to block the half-cent sales tax increase to help pay for the new transit plan. The Committee to Stop an Unfair Tax argued it is illegal and it misled voters about the actual cost. But the Tennessean says Chancery Judge Ann Martin disagreed. So the half-cent sales tax increase, for now, goes into effect February 1st. Voters, nearly 2-1, approved the plan, advertises $3.1 billion over several years to make improvements to the bus systems, sidewalks, and traffic signals. And over at the state capitol, the Legislative Rules Committee has voted to crack down on anyone speaking out of turn, both on the floor and in the gallery. The entire House will vote tomorrow to adopt basically the same rules put in place last year that allows the Speaker to cut the mic of any member that he rules is out of order and rules prohibiting protests and signs in the House gallery. Tomorrow, members will be able to propose changes to these rules or propose new rules before the vote. And Tennessee is among nearly 36 states with what the CDC describes as extremely high rates of respiratory illness. And hospitals in some of these states are filling up with sick people to the point they've begun restricting visitors. Here's Brian Clark.
High levels of respiratory illness continue across the country, and 2 North Carolina health systems have joined systems in Michigan and Minnesota in restricting visitors. ABC medical correspondent Dr. Darian Sutton says the entire system is under strain.
This puts a strain in terms of the ability to treat all of these patients and also space, and it becomes incredibly difficult.
CDC says this flu season's already responsible for nearly 3,000 deaths.
Now 63,000 flu-related hospitalizations. Meanwhile, in our nation's capital, Carrie Underwood will sing America the Beautiful at the inauguration of President-elect Trump on Monday. She'll take the stage after J.D. Vance. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Got 2 crashes in Antioch, one of them 24 eastbound with the right shoulder blocked right after Harding Place. Then the other one's at Bell Road and Hickory Hollow Parkway. In Madison, debris is blocking the right lane, 65 northbound near Old Hickory Boulevard. And then a crash reported by police 40 eastbound right before White Bridge Pike, Briley Parkway West, exit 204. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for Savory Spice. I mention all the time that they have 2 locations because I don't want any of you in Nashville missing out on what Franklin has known about for quite some time. Holly and David are the local owners of Savory Spice, and there are 2 locations. One is right off the square in Franklin, right next to Gray's Pharmacy, if you know the sign. The other's in Ellendale Market on Charlotte Pike. And what do they do? Well, you know how you reach a certain age where you kind of up your food game? Gone are the days of, the fast food drive-thrus, and you want to get a better cut of meat. You want to go to the farmer's market to get some better veggies. Well, if you're not upping your spice game along with your food game, you're not doing it the right way. It's time to up that spice game with Savory Spice. You don't have to pay more to get fresher and better spices from Savory Spice. Plus, they have so many gift ideas. If you have a cook in your life that has a birthday coming up or whatnot, you need to get to Savory Spice. Plus, if you don't know your way around the kitchen and you're looking to learn, they've got a great line of products called the Spice and Easy line that tells you everything you need to do to make fabulous meals for you, your family, your loved ones, all at Savory Spice, and all for a low, low price point. So go by, see them in Franklin, off the square, or Ellendale Market in Nashville, and be sure to tell them that Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only, the delicious Savory Spice.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 38 minutes after 4 o'clock. Thank you for being with us. We'll get to your many telephone calls and commentary about my very vague assessment of where we are in the gubernatorial race of 2026 in the state of Tennessee. And once again, I want to make really clear, I'm not casting aspersions at anyone, but I am suggesting that if you get into the business of trying to manipulate the system to the point that you're promising things to potential competitors, that can be dangerous. I mean, it can be effective, and it has been effective over the years, but it can also be dangerous in as much as voters have a tendency not to react very well to that. Dr. Carol Swain is with us. She has written numerous books. The Adversity of Diversity, I think I said that right, was a book that she wrote a couple of years ago, and we talked about that at the time. And she has a brand new book out called The Gay Affair, and she is with us in studio to discuss The Gay Affair. Dr. Carol Swain, it's an honor to talk with you.
Well, thank you. And The Gay Affair is not a romance novel. It's about the former president of Harvard, and her name was Claudine Gay.
Mm-hmm.
And so the book title is The Gay Affair, Harvard Plagiarism and the Death of Academic Integrity.
Was the title of the book intentionally, I don't know what word would come to mind, vague in order to gauge interest? It feels like you're maybe, trolling a little bit.
It was the #1 bestseller in the LGBTQ section of Amazon.
Because they thought that it was a work of fiction.
And guess what? Amazon put it in schools and instruction. Now, a book that they label as LGBTQ in one of the categories, and then they put the second category, schools and instruction. If you click on it, my book will be at the top with all those kiddie books. I don't know how that happened, but I have been working to change it, and I think we've changed the categories, and they know now that it's not a gay romance novel.
If I had told you a year or two ago that you would be one of the bestsellers in the LGBTQ category of Amazon.com, I don't think you would have believed me.
No, but you know something, a lot of people care about what happened at Harvard, and so that includes everyone. And so I think it's a good book, and that people, they may pick it up because if they read the subtitle, they will know. And the description.
It is almost an extension or a companion to Adversity of Diversity, in that you talked about what DEI was doing and how it was. You and I were talking during the break. It was almost a house of cards that were being set up in our business community, and we see the same thing happening in our academic institutions. Been going on for a long time. Talk to us about the book and how you use, and I haven't read it, so I don't want to assume, but use this example of Harvard as a way to describe to us what's going on more broadly at our universities around the country.
One of the things I want to say is that Chanel Rion, who works with One America News, she wrote the foreword for the book, and she and her husband both have Harvard degrees. And she pointed out that in 2012, there was a scandal at Harvard where 125 undergraduate students were accused of cheating, and they got suspended. Terrible things happened to those undergraduate students at Harvard, and they have a terrible double standard. And for myself, I did not know until December 10th, 2023, that Claudine Gay, former president of Harvard, plagiarized me 26 years ago. And my first reaction was shock. And then I was sad the sadness came because when I started reading her work and the accusations that were being leveled against her, I was sad for her because she's a black woman. I'm a black woman. I believe in black excellence. And I just thought, that's not a good look. And she's going to get fired. The first black president of Harvard is going to get fired for plagiarism. But then Harvard came out very quickly, stood behind her, and they tried to, instead of plagiarism, they called it duplicative language without attribution. And then I got angry. And so I went through a long period of anger, calmed myself down, and then she comes out and resigns and blames racism. And that's when I called a lawyer that had been interested in the case and said, we're going to pursue this legally.
So tell us about when you learned about this. And I think it's important to go over some of the backstory, too, because Dr. Carol Swain, I mean, you're such a well-written person. Your work precedes you, and anyone who knows you knows the dedication that you have to the work that you commit to. It has to be a little like someone, you come home and you discover that someone has robbed your house.
Yeah, that's how it felt. And my first book, Black Faces, Black Interests, The Representation of African Americans in Congress, published in 1993, updated in 1995, won 3 national prizes, was cited by the Supreme Court. It has 3 Supreme Court citations. That's the book that was plagiarized. And at the time, it made a big splash because that was when we were having redistricting debates and the issue of blacks in Congress, black representation, that was at the forefront. And my book argued that there was a trade-off between black descriptive representation and substantive representation. You could have more black faces and less black representation, and also that whites could represent blacks and blacks could represent whites, and that political party was more important than race. That made the book controversial, even though I was a good Democrat at the time.
It occurs to me that some of the things that you wrote about in that book that was ultimately plagiarized by Dr. Gay came to fruition through Dr. Gay. I mean, to a certain degree.
I mean, everything. I was looking back at my work over the years, and there has been a constant theme, but I see, and don't call her Dr. Gay, because in my preface, what I say is that to get a doctorate, you have to have path-breaking research. You defend it before a committee. Mm-hmm. Then they serve you wine and cheese, and they call you doctor. But if you don't have path-breaking research, and her dissertation, several people were plagiarized, I don't think she's earned her doctorate. She made some corrections. She corrected nothing involving my work. My contention is that not only were there some verbatim theft, but there was also the core idea. She used my conclusion to frame her research question. And some people would say, well, she's a liberal, you're a conservative. I've always had good common sense, and my work was controversial. And I would argue that the progressives needed another black person to counter a black person, and that Claudine Gay, she was rapidly, promoted through the system, and with work that would not have gotten her tenure at Princeton, much less the presidency of Harvard. And there have been people that have looked at it, and they say that 8 of her 11 articles have plagiarism in it. And so she is the adversity of diversity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Have you ever gotten an apology?
No, and I say in the book a couple of places that you would not actually be reading the book if she had called me up, if she had apologized, because I think she was a victim. You can take someone and push them too far. You remember the Peter principle?
Mm-hmm. Rise to a level of your incompetence?
Yeah, and I think that white progressives, I hate to bring race into this.
No.
They're so eager, to have people that will, whatever the party line is, type that party line, that I felt like she was the perfect person. She is the offspring of Haitian immigrants, but Haitian aristocracy. She went to Phillips Exeter Academy. She has undergraduate education at Princeton as well as Stanford, and her PhD is from Harvard. I mean, she is the cream of the crop.
Actions like this, ultimately, and Dr. Carol Swain, our guest, The Gay Affair is the title of the book, and I encourage you to get it on Amazon or wherever you buy books. But this hurts. This example so hurts the idea of a society that can be as colorblind as we want it to be. And that's what, it's one of the takeaways, and I'm curious your thought on that when you defend someone like Claudine Gay, these liberals that do so, the mainstream media that does so, you're hurting, just the advancement and the cause of other people of color.
But not just people of color, because when Harvard University redefines plagiarism as duplicative language without attribution, that hurts every institution that looks up to Harvard, including K through 12. And in the book, I talk about there was a local, Lackey and McDonald was a local law firm. I retained them to sue Harvard, and they sent a couple of demand letters, and we got letters back from their lawyers, and we drew up a complaint that was ready to be filed in federal district court. But I pulled out at the last minute because I had a conversation with one of my former Vanderbilt colleagues who pointed out in a way, using an analogy, that under copyright law, loser pays. Plus, I would have needed between $100,000 to $250,000 just to go to trial. And I didn't have that kind of money. And so that's why I wrote the book. It has the documents, the complaint, the Harvard letters of my lawyers. And I learned that copyright law is not set up to protect intellectual property for people like me.
What was for those who have forgotten the background, and I admit that I have forgotten some of the particulars, Claudine Gay, what happened to her? What was the punishment for her?
Well, she resigned on January 2nd, 2024.
Would she have been fired, do you think?
She resigned. She resigned for the sake of the institution,
right.
And she blamed racism. And then Harvard came out with a letter that she was a great scholar and how they would miss her, and it was all accolades. And so she is still on the faculty with her $900,000 a year salary, the salary she had while she was president. And this past fall, she taught a course on research and writing. And in September of 2024, I'm not done. The Black Harvard alumni gave her an award for her excellence. And so when I think about this, I can, I'm not a person that gets riled up easily, but it does make me angry.
She was punished up.
She was. I mean, yes. And
we should all be so lucky to be punished for plagiarism in the fashion that she was.
Well, I can tell you that when I came after her, she had the top copyright lawyer in the country, Neil Roman, and her lawyers were probably making $1,000 an hour. And if I had gone to trial and lost, and who knows what kind of judge I would have received, I could be liable for Harvard's legal fees. And so I chose the book to get my story out, and that's it.
It's fascinating.
It's all out there.
How were you? Were you treated at all? Were you contacted at all by the leftist media? And we understand that and how did they treat you in terms of conversation? Because there's no, I remember you overlay there's no question that you were plagiarized. What type of treatment did you receive?
Oh, I was on Inside Edition, CNN, because at that point in time, I think the anti-Semitism fueled it. Mm-hmm. And she had performed so poorly before Congress. But a lot of people were interested in the story. And the interest in the story sort of trumped any other differences they might have had with me as a conservative. So I was treated very well. Those same media have not had me on since the book has been released. And the book was released on the anniversary of her resignation.
So do you believe that what happened at Harvard, and obviously it's personal to you and your story, do you believe that it is systemic around the country?
Yes.
Okay, talk to me about that.
Well, the book has chapters of other instances of plagiarism, and some of the more high-profile people that you may have heard of, Doris Kearns Goodwin, Stephen Ambrose, Kevin Cruz, Malcolm Gladwell, he was accused of it. I think that the elites have sort of redefined it. It's not what many of us, when we went to school, we were taught, never do this terrible thing. and there were consequences, the consequences are not so great anymore. They're turning a blind eye towards it, but students are held to a different standard than faculty and journalists. That used to get you fired right away, immediately, no more. And so what they're doing is dumbing down the standards. It has nothing to do with race. It's about dumbing down the standards. And I would say the Marxism, they don't believe in standards. They don't believe in truth. And it's being manifested in how they're treating plagiarism.
Dr. Carol Swain's our guest. The Gay Affair. Give me the subtitle again. I'll never remember it all.
Harvard Plagiarism and the Death of Academic Integrity.
I encourage you to get the book. I would be remiss in the minute or so that we have left if I didn't ask you about your thoughts on the current state of political affairs. What with the reelection of Donald Trump, many people did not see it coming. You're one of the smartest people that we know in these parts. Any thoughts about what's going to go down next week in Washington, D.C.?
Well, I'm going to the inauguration and will be speaking at a brunch that's hosted by the Mighty American Strike Force. And what's unique about it is that it will have people from the MAHA, the Kennedy people, as well as conservatives. And so I will talk about bipartisanship and how we can come together to help save America. And I think that that's where we need to move, that being a conservative, being on the outside, and being seen as, as extreme, I don't think that we are seen as so extreme. And I think John Fetterman, I love him. I want to give him a hug. I want to have coffee with him. I'm going to reach out to his office.
He's the right kind of politician, and I never thought I would say that.
But I think that there are more people like that and that we have to move towards bipartisanship.
Dr. Swain, thank you so much for spending some time with us. You're intimidating when you stop in because the intellect just we
I'm
absolutely
just
love
me.
it.
I have common sense. I was born with common sense because I was raised in the country.
Well, we appreciate you being in these neck of the woods, and thank you for stopping by. Stop by anytime.
Thank you.
The Gay Affair is the book. It's 54 after the hour. The Murphy Show continues after this. All right, friends. So with all of the snow, that snow leaves moisture all around, and it can cause some significant issues in your home if you're not properly waterproofed. And I want to talk with you about that for just a moment. And USS, which stands for United Structural Systems. USS has guaranteed their best since 1994. And over that 30-plus year span of time, they've satisfied almost 30,000 residential customers in terms of foundation repair, waterproofing repair, and concrete leveling. That's a big deal, folks. And when snow melts, it obviously turns to water. And if your basements are not properly waterproofed, if your crawl space is not properly waterproofed, this could cause damage to your home. Here's a few points that you need to figure out. Do you smell an odd odor that comes from your basement or your crawl space, a musty or moldy odor? This is evidence of leaking or a lack of waterproofing. Are your downspouts free of blockage and pointed away from the foundation? If not, you could create foundation issues. Do you have any visible cracks in your basement? All of these are questions that you ought to ask yourself, and all of these questions are on the website, ussTN.com. That's ussTN.com. Call the best. Call USS at 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, or go online to ussTN.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Seeing some breaking news now from CNN. Looks like the Justice Department has just sent the Hunter Biden report over to Congress. Right now in Nashville, the new transit plan has survived a legal challenge. The group committed to stop an unfair tax sued, claiming it's against state law and misled voters as to the actual cost. But a Chancery Court judge today disagreed, saying it is legal and can proceed. So for now, the half-cent sales tax increase goes into effect on February 1st. The plan, advertised as the $3.1 billion Choose How You Move plan, uses that half-cent sales tax increase and grants to make improvements to the city's bus system, sidewalks, and traffic signals over several years. And over at the state capitol, the Rules Committee in the House has just passed the same rules put in place last year to crack down on anyone speaking out of turn, both on the floor and in the gallery. These rules allow the Speaker to cut the mic of any member that he deems out of order and prohibits protests and signs in the House gallery. The full House votes tomorrow, but members can propose changes to the old rules or propose new rules beforehand. Winter storm damage in Nashville. Channel 4's Brendan Tierney reports from a Bellevue neighborhood where NDOT snow plows damaged those rubber speed bumps and might be a problem for drivers.
Without the rubber blocks on the road, metal bolts are sticking out of the pavement in the middle of Cross Timbers Drive. Other bumps are still on the ground, but have been lifted up by the snowplow blades. People we've talked with are concerned the damage from the plow drivers is very dangerous.
If you have a tire to blow out or something like that, you know, who knows what your car would do? Would it, you know, if it blows out in a way, you could drive off into somebody's yard or anything.
NDOT says they try to plow up to a speed bump and just salt the top of it, but there are a couple of streets across Nashville with damage like this. If you see a speed bump with damage, you should report it on Hub Nashville, and NDOT says they will quickly send a crew out to make repairs.
Same goes for potholes. Well, the situation in Los Angeles is not getting better. High winds expected to kick up again. Evacuation orders could be increased. The death toll has risen to 24 from the wildfires there. Meanwhile, in our nation's capital,
the scope of the need in California is not yet apparent on Capitol Hill, but House Speaker Mike Johnson says the aid shouldn't come unconditionally. Johnson accuses local and state leaders of being derelict in their duty.
I think there should probably be conditions on that aid. That's my personal view.
What those conditions should be, Johnson didn't say. He did indicate one option being considered is a bill tying California aid to an increase in the debt ceiling.
That's Stephen Portnoy reporting. And the latest news, traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, let's tell you what's going on I-24 right now. Eastbound, approaching I-440. You've got a crash blocking the left shoulder. Elsewhere in Antioch, the right shoulder blocked, 24 eastbound after Harding Place. How about I-40? We've got a crash eastbound before White Bridge Pike and Briley Parkway. Also westbound near Fessler's Lane. Can't leave out 65 in Madison. Northbound near Old Hickory Boulevard. You got a crash. Actually, that's debris blocking the right lane there at exit 92. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Holy moly, my hot tea is still, well, hot. I don't know how they do it. Those mugs that keep things warm like this. I would give them credit, but they don't pay money for me to tell their brand name. Yeah. But it starts with a Y, and it's got 4 letters, and y'all probably figured it out. It's also the name for the abominable snow monster. One way or the other, they keep things hot, I'll tell you that. It's 7 minutes after 5 o'clock. Just burn my lips. My name is Matt Murphy. There's Chris Webber. There's Ken Weaver. And we are the trio that make up the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you for being around with us. Hope your drive home's going well. Ken says no. Ken tells you all the bad things that are happening, but I hope it's good where you are, wherever you might be. It's got to be better than Friday afternoon, for goodness sake.
Yes.
At least everywhere but I-24. I don't know. And Friday was pretty good, actually. People kind of were staying home. That's pretty nice.
Except for the people who didn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, those folks, there's no accounting for stupidity, I suppose. There's one in every crowd.
Some folks just had to get out there, man.
I mean,
you boys did.
Yeah, we had to get home.
Well, how was your ride home, by the way? Uneventful?
It was completely uneventful, yeah. I don't think there were any issues whatsoever.
I had one little moment, so everything was fine. Downtown, I go 40 eastbound to Mount Juliet.
Yeah.
And so everything's great. Everything's wonderful. Very, not a lot of traffic. There's some, but not a lot. And I was in four-wheel drive high, and, I was going 50, 55 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So I get to the airport, and right beyond the airport, there was a stretch right where the dam is.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to that hollow, and there was a truck in front of me that was splashing me, and I was trying to 18-wheeler, and I was trying to get by him. And as I was trying to pass him, the lane that I was passing him in wasn't as clear as some of the other lanes, and then it got slushy.
Yeah.
And as it was getting slushy, and I'm trying to pass the guy, and we're going uphill, and he's not relenting, I felt a slide to the center wall coming.
Yeah, little.
Had to just back off the gas, let the truck go, live to fight another day.
Yep.
Yes.
And so it was a little bit hairy, and that got the adrenaline. That feeling right after something like that happens, where you get a little charge of adrenaline energy. That was the one moment. But other than that, it was all good.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was anticipating a possible issue on my ride home. I go up 31W, and once you have to go up the ridge from Millersville into White House, and it's a pretty good incline.
Mm-hmm.
And I was expecting some little slick spots there, but the crews did a fantastic job. There was nothing. Road was dry. I was very pleased, so no issues for me.
You get off at the exit, the Goodlettsville exit?
Yeah.
Where the Grand Old RV Resort is?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yep.
I know that, And then, there's a considerable hill.
Mm-hmm.
Right before, what is that, Ridgetop?
Yeah.
Is that Ridgetop?
Well,
no, that's the other way. That's the other way. That's 41.
Yeah.
You're on 31. You're going the opposite direction.
Yeah, but you go up the ridge. It's basically through Millersville. You hit the top of the hill, and then another mile or so, you're in the White House.
I got you. Well, I'm glad you got home safe and sound. And how about Ken Weaver? How about Ken Weaver throwing out the old text message on Friday night asking if we got home okay?
Yeah, that was very nice.
That was very nice.
I was worried
Very
about
thoughtful.
you boys.
I felt like it was. I felt like that might have been IPA aided, but I mean maybe I'm wrong.
No, I'm dry January, boys.
Are you now?
Yes, sir.
How about you? Whoa! How about that?
What do you think about that?
That's I mean,
I think we're only 13 days in. How you holding up?
Yeah,
I'm doing good. I had my first non-alcoholic IPA over the weekend because I wanted to see why do people drink non-alcoholic beer.
Did you find out?
I did, and I got to say, I'm not a fan. It starts out tasting like an IPA. But it just doesn't have that same full, just boom.
Yeah.
That the hops
that
kind of give you in that.
That boom is called the buzz.
Yeah. I didn't get a buzz. Basically, I was just making myself go to the bathroom.
You see, when it comes to IPAs and really beer in general, for me, the first few, I mean, beer's okay. I've never been a fan of pale ales. So if I get one, I get through the first half of it knowing that the buzz is coming in on the second half. Yeah. And so I got that to look forward to. And then by the time the buzz gets there, I don't mind the taste so much.
Yeah, you've forgotten. Yeah.
That's the only way I get through.
Yeah, they give me a headache, man. I can do a couple of them, then I gotta lay off.
I am fascinated.
You switch to Coors Light after that.
Switch to good old Coors Light,
which is water.
Oh man, dude, that's water from the Rocky Mountains.
I mean, I get it. I mean, it's
good.
Seen
that
I'm not
fella up
knocking
there in the jacket.
I'm not knocking it. No. I'll drink it. I'm all good with it. I am fascinated with the advance. I mean, because non-alcoholic beers have been around for a while, but they haven't really been popular. But I've heard more about non-alcoholic drinks this January than I think I ever have.
Yeah, they've definitely gotten more popular over the last few years.
Well, we've got some. We got some of those cocktails.
Yeah, they now have non-alcoholic bourbons and whatnot,
and they're good. They taste really good. They just don't give you the buzz.
I've never. I mean, I don't know what. I think this says probably something negative about me, but I'm going to say it anyway. I've never drank alcohol. I've never had alcohol for the taste.
Well, I mean, come on. Anybody who ever says, I just drink beer for the taste.
I mean,
whatever.
Yeah,
Sure.
they're not. So the cocktails, and I'm not casting aspersions at present company, but the cocktails, to me, it reminds me of vegetarians going in and ordering a vegetarian hamburger. Like, why not just eat something that, why not just eat tofu?
Yeah. Why try to make it look like meat if it's not meat?
Right.
If you don't like to eat meat, why would you want it to look like meat?
Yeah.
And I guess maybe it's just the habit and you know, wanting to do the same things that you've been doing. I don't know. Whatever helps. Whatever helps get you through dry January.
That's right. Who knows? It might turn into dry February, but I doubt it because that's our anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
That's my wife's birthday.
Yep.
And it's Valentine's Day.
Well, let me.
And you got to have it on Valentine's Day.
In more ways than one, I suppose.
We know what goes on in the Weaver household on Valentine's Day.
Well, I'll tell you something while we're talking about it that might shock you. You fellas might say you don't believe me.
Okay.
I haven't had a sip of alcohol since the 28th of December.
Son of a biscuit eater.
So
that's the way to go, dude.
Well, I mean, you know,
not bad.
Well, see, you're doing the dry January.
Sometimes you like to put it down just to say that you can.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you
know,
I guarantee you, and I'm all joking aside here. I bet you I've dropped 5 pounds.
Oh yeah, wow. Oh, yeah.
Just
I feel the same
in
way.
the past couple of weeks.
Well,
I guarantee I have.
I was putting on a couple of LBs over the holidays,
Yes,
as
sir.
you do. You
Yes,
know,
sir.
candy and cookies and drinks and parties and boy, the Wilson shindig was no helper.
Imagine, yeah.
Never.
Also know how that
so
goes.
good. But I was like, I got to do that, and you're right, Ken. I mean, you put down the alcohol, those empty, whatever, however many calories it is, and you notice it after a couple of weeks. So best of luck to those of you that are celebrating dry January, dry February, or dry life, whatever it might be. God bless you. I'll be back on the wagon or off the wagon.
Well,
you'll be off the wagon.
Yeah, off the wagon.
Right? Off the wagon means I'm drinking?
I think so.
Well, I found a beer that is gonna knock me right off the wagon or put me right back on. Whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
I'll be going full steam ahead.
What's the beer?
Oh, man, boys, it is Mexican chocolate. It is advertised as Mexican dark chocolate with pepper.
What?
There's honey in it.
A lot going on. Wow.
Yeah, there's this outfit down in there's this little tap house down in Murfreesboro, and I mean I'm already in love with this porter from Hendersonville. It's got pepper in it. It's spice. I like a hot spicy beer.
Oh, you like that one, the jalapeno?
Yes, sir. That's it.
Whatever. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no, I
it's
get
got a little
it.
kick to it for sure.
Well, this one is advertised as Mexican chocolate with hot peppers in it. I'm not doing it any justice. All I know is I'm going to devour it.
You like a
come
little
February 1st.
You like a little spice in your alcohol,
I do.
Weaver?
I do.
I got something for you then.
Okay.
My father-in-law came up with his own homemade. He was growing.
Oh boy.
He does not have a tongue anymore. I mean, he's burned it all. I mean, the man has a shaker of ghost pepper flakes that he just pours on. It's just it's absurd.
Goodness.
It's just ridiculous. And he made his own homemade ghost pepper vodka.
Oh wow. Oh.
It would burn the acid off of a battery. I mean, and I kept going back. I kept going back time and again. This is like last year. And he's like, oh, you want to? Oh, yes, I want some more. Because you do it and you're like, oh, this is so awful. I never want to do this. Give me another one.
Yeah.
Give me another one of those. Because it just burns the stomach and the belly and the throat and everything. So I'll bring you some, Ken.
All right, let's wait till February 1st.
Okay, we'll wait. 615-737-9986. We'd love to hear from you on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So we heard from Joe Biden earlier today, and the fantasy campaign continues. As Joe Biden is getting set to leave office, he has this fantasy campaign ongoing with regard to what he was able to accomplish while in office. It's fascinating to say the least. Joe Biden went on a fantasy campaign last week with regard to his economic policy, and today he decided to do the same with his foreign policy. Here's crazy Uncle Joe telling us what a great job he's done.
Some incoming administration, some in the incoming administration, are skeptical about the need for clean energy. They don't even believe climate change is real. I think they come from a different century. They're wrong. They are dead wrong. It's the single greatest existential threat to humanity.
So Joe Biden again repeats the lie that climate change or man-made climate. So they conveniently eliminate, and we've talked about this in the past, they oversimplify because the liberals need oversimplification. And you have to oversimplify this issue in order to accomplish what Joe Biden just accomplished. So Joe Biden is suggesting to all of us who will listen that climate change is the greatest existential threat to all of humanity. Well, I mean, if the climate changed by 500 degrees, if we magically got closer to the sun, or if the sun expanded at some point over the course of existence, one scientists tell us that it will. Well, if that were to occur, then obviously that would be an existential threat to humanity. What Joe Biden truly wants to say is man-made climate change. He doesn't, because he knows that there is little evidence that man-made climate change, or the portion of climate change that can be specifically contributed to man, has any impact on man's existence on planet Earth. As a matter of fact, in many parts of the Earth, one could suggest that it is benefiting mankind in that way. But yet he still suggests, I mean, because you in order to ignore the incompetence of what's going on in California with Democrats like Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, and others. Wait, I mispronounced socialist. With socialists like Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, and others, you have to insist that all of this has to do with climate change. That way, you get to blame Republicans. Remember what I told you last week. It must be so wonderful when it comes to events like California that you are allowed to, if you're a Democrat, excuse all of your misinformation. You are allowed to excuse all of your incompetence. You don't have to answer to anything you did or did not do leading up to these fires, whether it's DEI hires, something you did do, incompetent people leading, sadly, the L.A. Fire Department, incompetent people leading the city. You don't have to make excuses for anything you didn't do, like maintain the reservoirs to a full capacity in L.A. County in order to combat these fires when they pop up. You don't have to make excuses for any of that if you simply point to something that you made up, man-made climate change as a result. You make it up, and then you can point to it every time someone says to you, why did you or did you not do a specific thing to avoid this human disaster, which is exactly what's happening. Of course, Joe Biden has a few other things to say about his foreign policy initiatives. Now, Joe Biden actually did something that I didn't know that he would do prior to leaving office. He actually mentioned the 13 people that are dead because of his incompetence. He didn't mention them by name, mind you, but he at least mentioned them. I'll share that with you next on Super Talk 99.7 WT, and it's 21 after 5. Have you noticed how unreliable things have become these days? Like when somebody tells you it'll be ready at 4 o'clock and then it's not ready at 4 o'clock, and then they look at you and shrug their shoulders like, well, you know, what are you going to do? People are tired of this stuff. It's Matt Murphy for Eurofix. If you've had it with unreliable vehicle repair shops, come to Eurofix. Eurofix turns unreliable into, wait for it now, reliable. And Eurofix has your vehicle ready when it's really ready. You don't have to stand around. You don't have to wait around. Eurofix repairs all European cars with quality that beats the dealer without dealer pricing. That's because dealer repair shops, and look, if you've never been told this is going to be a shock to you, but dealer repair shops are designed to pay for virtually all of the dealership's overhead, and that's a lot of money. It is why Eurofix is less expensive than the dealer. Why would you pay for all of that at Eurofix? Reliable also means a 3-year nationwide warranty, a free loaner car with every repair appointment. Make sure you call ahead. Loaner cars are very popular. If you're tired of unreliable repair shops, come to where it's reliable. Eurofix, 5 locations to serve you and family-owned for 26 years. 844-EUROFIX or visit myeurofix.com.
Nashville's new transit plan can proceed full steam ahead, according to a judge's ruling today. We'll tell you about it at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy, Ken Weaver, Chris Webber, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you. And apparently the redheaded stranger. Okay, I don't know what this means. Pamela Furr has sent me a text message. By the way, it's funny because she sent me a text message around the same time that 4266 on the super text line when I mentioned that I have not had a drink since the 28th of December. 4266 said, you must have stopped hanging out with Pamela Furr. I have not seen Pamela since then, but, I don't think that...
Purely coincidental,
Yeah, I don't
sure.
think that has anything to do with it. I don't know. There's a group of MM fans that want you to go full-on Cherokee. I don't know what that means. I mean, my grandfather was Cherokee.
Maybe the hair? Just let the hair grow out and then braid it, maybe?
Maybe that's what we're talking about then. Maybe that's what we're talking about. My grandfather was three-quarter Cherokee Indian. I don't know what that makes me. My dad had some on his side, too. So we did the math one time, and I think I'm about a quarter with my father's and my and when I say my grandfather was three-quarter Cherokee, his father was full-blooded Cherokee. His mother was half Cherokee Indian. So you can figure all that out. I mean, I got tired of working through it a long, long time ago, but because I don't identify as hyphenated American. But yeah, I mean, I'll go full-on Cherokee. I mean, I didn't know if that meant that Furr wanted me to do a war whoop or something like that. I didn't know. 28 after the hour. Scotty's in Columbia. Scotty, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, brother, what are you doing?
What's happening?
Oh, well, I was wanting to know, I've met you at the boating night there over in Lebanon when you had that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one that brought you the Dr. Pepper. How's that?
Oh, yeah, I remember that thing. Oh, I appreciated that.
Yeah, right. You had to hold up to your obligation there. I know what you mean. But when are we going to get our hair cut?
I am through with my Locks for Trump obligation as of noon or whatever time the president-elect delivers his inaugural address and takes the swearing in. So I have fulfilled my obligation on January 20th. So after that, it's up to me.
Yeah, right. But, we talked before about getting going to Great Clips. Great Clips has wigs for kids. I found out they'll cut your hair for free, and they'll donate it and everything else, and they don't charge the kids for their wigs like Locks for Love does.
So you're saying Locks for Love charges the kids?
They charge for their wigs. Wigs for Kids does not charge.
Okay, so do wigs for kids instead of Locks for Love. Got it.
Correct.
All right, if that's the way I go, I got it.
Okay, yeah,
All right.
you got to do that.
All right, well, sounds good, man.
All right, yeah, just go to Great Clips and get that $9.99 special.
Well, thanks for the .dp, brother.
All right, bro.
All right, man.
Take care.
All right, see you.
Good to have you on tonight.
Well, you're very kind, Scotty. I appreciate you. There's Scotty out of Columbia. We appreciate your call. So Joe Biden was lying about the economy last week. He's lying about foreign affairs this week, but he did say something that, frankly, I was a little surprised that he said. Here it is.
I grieve those brave service members whose lives were lost during the withdrawal.
What?
Well, Ken, it says, come on, Ken, use your ears now.
I grieve those brave service members whose lives were lost during the withdrawal.
What's he agree with them about?
I think the word he was looking for, Ken, was grieve.
Oh,
I
see.
Let's listen again.
And I grieve those brave service.
It sounds like he's saying I agree.
Yeah, I agree with those brave people who are no longer with us.
Yeah. You agree that you completely and totally botched the withdrawal operation to the point that they lost their lives? Man. You didn't have time for them during that day, and reportedly they had to wait on you, the family members did, while you took a nap. I'm just pleased as punch that he actually brought them up. To my knowledge, since their arrival ceremony, where he was looking at his watch. You might recall that. This is the first time that he has brought these 13 service members up.
I believe you're right.
And he has never said their names out loud. They get a 3-second passing mention a week before he is out of office. And if this man had any shame, he would be ashamed. If he had the ability, he would be ashamed. But more and more, I notice that liberals just don't have the ability to carry shame with them because they don't have any. 615-737-9986. It's time for news. Nincompoops on the way, coming up right after on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, that new transit plan can proceed full steam ahead. A Chancery judge today ruled against a lawsuit to try to block it. The lawsuit claiming it's illegally funded and voters were misled about the total cost. Voters nearly 2-to-1 approved the Choose How You Move plan that was advertised as a $3.1 billion plan to use a half-cent sales tax increase and grants to pay for bus system upgrades and sidewalk and traffic signal improvements over several years. So with the judge's ruling today, that half-cent sales tax increase takes effect February 1st as planned. Hendersonville police investigating their first murder of the new year. Channel 4's Steve Mailing says they're looking for an 18-year-old.
They did say ever since releasing that suspect photo, they have received some tips from the public, but nothing has panned out just yet. Now, it was at this duplex on Volkow Drive where police responded to reports of shots fired yesterday afternoon. According to witnesses I spoke to on scene, they heard arguing inside the apartment on the left side of the duplex. Shortly after that, gunshots. The shooting left a 16-year-old Nashville teen dead, and police believe the shooter fled the area. Neighbors say they were shocked to learn about what happened, given they rarely even see police having to respond to anything on their street.
18-year-old Amani Jordan has been identified by police as the prime suspect. Winter storm update. A man faces charges for shooting a family as they were sledding and playing in the snow in East Tennessee on Friday. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office says the mother heard gunshots and saw snow fly up from the ground only a couple of feet from where her 1-year-old son was. Authorities say Benjamin Cook has a history of firing guns in the area and telling people that hill is his private property. Police say it's not his private property. Cook now faces 6 charges of aggravated assault. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Here we go. A crash blocking the left shoulder, 24 eastbound approaching 440. Then we've got a crash that is 24 eastbound at Harding Place in Antioch. We've got 40 westbound near Fessler's Lane. 40 westbound at Broadway. That's going to be exit 209B just outside the studios here on Music Circle. Nolensville Pike north of Haywood Lane, Nolensville Pike north of Old Hickory Boulevard. Got some crashes working there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Man, it sounds like the teeth will be chattering over the night and into the morrow. Speaking of teeth, let me talk to you about Dr. Stephen Poss, Dr. Brian McLaughlin, and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center, because this has to do with your teeth. Sleep apnea and your ability to sleep better and snore less has everything to do with your teeth. Let's talk about it. Because I didn't realize this. Dr. Poss taught me this. Dr. McLaughlin could teach you, whether it's in Brentwood or Murfreesboro, 2 locations. And by the way, before I forget to mention it, they are in network for most of your insurance, BCBS, Aetna, Cigna, United Healthcare, Medicare, and a preferred provider with TRICARE for the military. So if you have mild to moderate sleep apnea, or if you think that you do, they're going to advise you to get a sleep test. Dr. Poss and Dr. McLaughlin will. And if it comes back that you do, in fact, have mild to moderate sleep apnea, did you know there's an FDA-approved oral device? It's a lot like, the way I compare it is like a mouth guard in football. It goes in, you don't notice it after a day or so, and you sleep so good at night, you'll be wanting to put this thing in every night, and you don't even realize it's there. It gently holds the jaw forward. It's amazing because that keeps that airway open, and when your airway is open, you can't snore, and that prevents the sleep apnea that accompanies the snoring. The snoring is kind of a byproduct. Call Dr. Stephen Poss, call Dr. Brian McLaughlin, and find out more about this incredible technology that can help you sleep better and get more energy in your life. drposs.com, drposs.com. So not only is Joe Biden letting you know that from a foreign policy perspective, everything went great. Oh, everything went great. Russia attacked Ukraine. Hamas attacked Israel. Both of those conflicts are ongoing. Both of those conflicts, I could argue, started because of the lack of leadership at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, but everything's going great. And oh, by the way, shibba shabba, shibba shibba, dead soldiers, according to Joe. I mean, isn't that what you heard?
And I grieve those brave service members whose lives were lost during the withdrawal.
It really does sound like he's saying, I agree.
It does.
He reportedly, according to the transcript, was supposed to say, I grieve those brave service members whose lives were lost during the withdrawal. Here's him saying it.
And I grieve those brave service members whose lives were lost during the withdrawal.
I mean, he can barely read the damn teleprompter. Although the guy still says that he would have won. Did y'all see where last week, I failed to mention this. We were so focused on snow and other things. Last week, he said that Kamala Harris could have beaten Donald Trump, too. Did y'all see that?
What?
That's what he said. I'm not making that up.
She could have. She didn't.
I mean, no,
But you could have.
he was doing his exit interview with USA Today, the 8th grade reader.
USA Today.
Right? That's so on brand. We've been calling the USA Today the 8th grade reader for 20 years. And so he's doing his exit interview with USA Today, and he goes, you still think you could have been, I could have been Donald Trump. Sure. Sure. And
Jack.
And he goes, pow. And he goes, Kamala Harris could have beaten him too. Well, what? Oh, I'm sorry? What are you talking about? Even Jake Tapper over the weekend on his little State of the Union show or whatever it is on #NeverCNN was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean that? I mean, he's absolutely delusional. And that delusion manifested itself today as he was saying things like this.
Today I can report to the American people, our adversaries are weaker than were when we came into this job 4 years ago. Today I can...
So I put that on a loop because I want to play this again. He misread the teleprompter. He said it was supposed to say were. The quote is, today I can report to the American people our adversaries are weaker than they were. He said where because he doesn't know what he's saying. It truly is amazing that we've not had worse in the 4 years that he has been absent as a president, because who the hell knows who's been running this country?
Today I can report to the American people, our adversaries are weaker than were when we came into this job 4 years ago.
Okay.
What was that one word he said in there somewhere towards the end? I have no idea what that was.
Let's do.
Today I can report to the American people, our adversaries are weaker than were when we came into this job 4 years ago.
Oh, came into this job. Gotcha.
I thought he said came into the South.
And y'all remember something. I've been saying this for the 4 years of his term. The best that he is on any given day is what we see on TV.
Yeah, that's scary.
What we're listening to is the best that he gets. They know what time he's going on TV. They know when they have to prop him up. They know when they have to, put whatever in his system that they put in his system. That's the best that he gets.
Post-Cold War period is over. A new era has begun. In these 4 years, we faced crises that we've been tested. We've come through those tests stronger, in my view, than we entered those tests.
Oh, okay.
Well, he did say his view.
And his view is limited to an ice cream cone and the potty.
And a nap.
That's right. 43 after the hour. Listen, folks, we're telling you what the news is. Ken Weaver does it twice an hour. I try to do it over the course of 4 hours. But what we also try to do on the Matt Murphy Radio Show is dig beyond the news, peek behind the curtain, and find those nincompoops where they live and where they breathe. I feel like I'm missing the post. I'm just missing. I'll get it. Just give me a week or two. That's right. It's time for Nincompoops in the News, where Ken Weaver, Chris Webber, and Matt Murphy look across the state of Tennessee, the nation, nay, the globe, and we find under rocks and in the gullies the nincompoops that you need to know about, and you on the Super Text line get to vote at 615-737-9986, the nincompoop of the day. And I'm proud to note that after a week of nimpoopery, strike that. I Joe Biden that one. After a week of nincompooperi, the standings are, I have to keep saying these, not because I'm tied with Ken, not because Weber's, in third place, but because I'm not writing it down anymore. So if I don't say it every day, I won't remember it. Yep. But it's Weaver 2, Murphy 2, Weber 1. But that's okay. There's always today. And you know what? In the spirit of you being behind, I'll let you go first.
Oh, fair enough. All right. I see how you're doing that. You're waiting to see what I say so that you can go, oh, yeah, I got something better than that.
I do.
All right, this is kind of a shame, guys. We missed this. This happened yesterday, as a matter of fact, in good old London. Jolly old England?
Jolly old England.
Yeah. Hundreds of Londoners headed to the underground yesterday afternoon and stripped down to the underwear.
All right.
It was the official No Trousers to Bride.
No, what?
No Trousers to Bride.
All right.
Trousers. That's what they call pants.
You said tube ride.
Yeah, tube ride. The tube is what they call the subway.
I thought
in London.
Never mind. I'm not, y'all. I'm not making I'm 51-year-old man. I'm not making the joke about the tube ride.
I thought he was talking about taking off your pants and getting married.
I thought he was saying tube ride.
Yeah.
No, tube ride.
Tube ride. Which, yeah.
I've been hearing too much Joe Biden. Maybe there's no trousers tube ride.
I agree.
Jack.
So this is apparently a real thing and not just limited to London. It happens in cities all over the world every year. But yeah, hundreds of people took to the subway in London yesterday with no pants on. Apparently it's an annual event that has no point other than to inject a little levity into the bleak winter weather.
Wow.
So it's just people having fun for one day. One guy that was participated yesterday, he was a 40-year-old personal trainer.
Yeah.
You see how he's a trainer.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's how that.
He wants to show that he's
right.
His legs off.
Yeah.
He says there's so much bad, so much not fun going on. It's nice to do something just for the sake of it. Apparently, this started in New York though back in 2002, and it was the brainchild of a comedian named Charlie Todd. And he says, wouldn't it be funny if someone walked onto the subway train in the middle of winter wearing hat, gloves, scarf, but no pants? So he started doing it. And apparently this is a annual event.
Aww.
The nincompoop part kind of comes in with, nowadays, this would be the least of your worries if you stepped onto a New York City subway.
Yeah, that's
true.
Seeing someone with no pants on.
I'd sit by that person.
Yeah.
No, well, yeah. I mean, there's fluids involved when it's a no pants New York City subway ride.
And that's the other thing. I don't know about the London Underground. I've never been to London, so I don't know the cleanliness of the trains, but I don't want to sit on the subway seat
without pants on,
with my bare cheeks.
So they don't. So
they're naked.
So
no,
there's
they're
no
not
underpants.
naked. No, they're wearing
underpants.
They're wearing underwear.
Yeah,
but I mean,
that's
if you're wearing the skivvies, your skin's still making contact.
If you're in my underpants, then the odds are there's a hole or two.
Well, there's probably some folks wearing thongs.
Yeah.
Anyway. I mean, what's the point?
Let's hope.
They say they act like they don't know each other, and they act like it's no big deal. They just forgot their pants.
Oh, well, that's nice. I like that.
We missed it, though, so we'll have to wait till next year.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, maybe we could ride we could ride Freddie O'Connell's bus system. We could start something new.
They already do. That's why nobody's on them.
All right, I'm going next.
All right, hit it, Brother Murphy.
A Florida housekeeper allegedly assaulted and robbed her 83-year-old employer on Christmas Eve when she learned the elderly woman did not have enough money to pay her a Christmas bonus.
Goodness.
Heather Nelson, our nincompoop, 29 years of age, attacked and robbed the elderly woman after the victim told her she could not afford a $500 bonus that she was demanding. That according to is it Brevard or Brevard County? It's Florida. Sheriff's Office, Brevard, whatever.
I don't know.
It's a county in Florida. When the victim said that she did not have enough money to pay the bonus, Nelson responded by physically wrenching the victim's checkbook from her hand, stealing a check from the checkbook, and then, I guess in an effort to ruin other people's Christmas as well, stole Christmas cards that were set to be mailed out, also containing checks, according to Sheriff Wayne Ivey. Ivey criticized Nelson as a Grinch who went too far. Nelson, who the sheriff repeatedly referred to as Grinch, nearly broke the victim's wrist in the incident. The elderly woman, I'm happy to say, she's going to be all right.
Good.
And she got medical care. I guess committing battery and almost breaking the wrist of an elderly victim wasn't bad enough, so you decided to steal all of her money and take Christmas gifts that were meant for others as well. An investigation revealed Nelson had written a stolen check for $1,400, used the victim's credit card to pay her own rent, as well as to make other purchases. Nelson was taken into custody Tuesday after the check was cleared and credit card transactions posted. Deputies obtained a warrant, arrested Nelson on charges of robbery by This is my favorite part of the story. There's a quote that's coming up. I didn't realize this was a charge. She is charged with robbery by sudden snatching.
Wow. All right.
I mean, that's very specific.
It is.
Aggravated battery of a person over 65, forgery, uttering a forged instrument, criminal use of, maybe we could charge Joe Biden with uttering a forged instrument.
Jack.
Criminal use of personal identification, fraudulent use of credit card, and grand theft. And, of course, Ivy, the sheriff in Brevard or Brevard County, after she was booked on a $30,000 bond, said, "You were so worried about getting your bonus, we have some extra goodies to give you. As a keepsake, you get a booking photo suitable for framing, a slightly used pair of shower shoes, unlimited access to our world-famous one-star dining facility where you will enjoy absolutely nothing you eat. Merry Christmas," said the sheriff. And that's
nicely done, sir.
My nincompoop.
The shame of it is that was probably not the only thing she stole from that lady.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's
too bad.
That's sad. Protect grandma.
Yep.
Ken Weaver.
All right. This here comes from TMZ, and it is based out of Florida, too.
Uh-oh.
And it's no pun intended. Suspected shoplifter poops in Florida store, robs it with accomplice. The Polk County Sheriff's Office released photos and a video of the suspects from a Family Dollar store in Mulberry, Florida.
We've already lost.
With one of them dropping a deuce right on the floor. Even the police were shocked.
Blinded by
Police said the thieves, a man and a woman, entered the store and immediately put their plan into action. Cops say the man strolled around stealing $500 worth of cleaning products as the woman diverted everyone's attention by using the floor as her restroom. The two then allegedly left the store with the stolen goods, again, mind you, all cleaning products, and hopped inside a white Ford van, which drove away. Police noted that a store employee was forced to clean that beep stuff up.
Oh, no.
Adding, "We bleep, kid you not." The sheriff urged citizens to contact Crime Stoppers if they recognize, quote, Mr. Clean and Miss Dookie. Now, while I consider these two the nincompoops.
Oh, goodness.
I would say that
nincompoops. Y'all get it yet?
I think
so good.
The manager of this store is the nincompoop if they had an employee clean that up.
Well, I mean, you
Because
know
the
what?
employee should have said, "You know what, brother? That's above my pay scale."
You're gonna have to earn that badge that's on your chest there, Mr. Manager. Gonna go ahead and take care of that. That was at a Dollar General?
As at a Family Dollar store
Family Dollar.
in Mulberry, Florida, where all they stole was cleaning products.
See, that kind of crap doesn't happen at Dollar General.
No pun intended.
Boom. There you go. There's our three nincompoop nominees of the day on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 53 after the hour. We'll get back to the real news momentarily on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, the Nashville Transit Plan has survived a legal challenge. That story and more coming up at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver, or no thank you, Ken Weaver, depending on the content of the story. But thank you for relating the story to us. We'll find out more details coming up in just 2 minutes on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken's the big winner.
Yeah, no surprise there.
As soon as he said the nincompoop pooped, then it was over.
Can I tell you guys something? I had that one in my queue.
You're just waiting on it.
I should have used it.
You should have jumped.
Shouldn't have sat on it.
I'm waiting for
No pun intended.
Well, she didn't sit on it, that's for sure. You got to go. You got to let her rip, I suppose.
I mean, if instead of what was it, the tube? What was it called?
Yeah.
What'd you call it? The tube?
Yeah. It's called the tube.
London, the tube.
Yeah.
The trousers.
The
No trouser tube ride.
Tube ride. That's what I was looking
Trouser
for.
tube ride.
The tube ride. Okay.
Sounds like a polygamist who doesn't wear pants.
I was going to say it. I thought all of them were trouserless. I didn't. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I can't help myself. I'm like Joe Biden and a teleprompter. I just can't. I can't get it right.
I agree.
It's 10 minutes. Well, no, it's 6 o'clock. It's an hour before we go home, or unless they pull me off the radio right now. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, that transit plan has survived a legal challenge brought by a group that claims it's against the state law and misled voters as to how much it's going to actually cost. Voters in November, nearly 2-1, approved the plan, advertised as the $3.1 billion Choose How You Move plan to make changes to the bus system, sidewalks, and traffic signals over several years, to be paid for in part by a half-cent sales tax increase. Well, Chancellor Ann Martin rejected the claims of the committee to stop an unfair tax, saying Metro can proceed. So for now, the sales tax increase goes into effect on February 1st, as stated in the ordinance. The California wildfire's death toll has risen to 24, and authorities say the fire threat remains critical. More high winds on the way could mean more evacuation orders. And in our nation's capital,
The House Speaker says it appears to him that California leaders have been derelict in their duty.
Water resource mismanagement, forest management mistakes, all sorts of problems.
Mike Johnson says any aid to California should be conditioned. The sense here is that it's too soon to know how great the need is, but the Speaker indicated there are already conversations ongoing about tying aid for Southern California to an increase in the debt ceiling, perhaps in an effort to get Democrats and Republicans on board behind it.
Stephen Portnoy reporting. Another 150,000 borrowers' student loan debt is canceled. President Joe Biden announcing today the new beneficiaries include more than 80,000 borrowers Biden says were cheated or defrauded by their schools, 60,000 with total and permanent disabilities, and more than 6,000 public service workers. Elsewhere in our nation's capital,
security preparations well underway for the inauguration, now just 1 week away. A key part of that, fencing.
More than 30 miles of anti-scale fence will be used for the inauguration, more than any other NSSE ever before.
That was Matt McCool from the Secret Service, who runs the FBI's Washington field office. Olivia Rubin, ABC News, Washington.
Confirmation hearings set to start tomorrow morning for President-elect Trump's cabinet nominees. Senators going to meet with Secretary of State nominee Marco Rubio, Pam Bondi for Attorney General, Kristi Noem, Homeland Security, and Pete Hegseth, Defense Secretary. Tennessee 5th District Congressman Andy Ogles among the House Freedom Caucus members who dined with the president-elect over the weekend to discuss kickstarting his administration. He tells WTN's Dan Mandis.
He's strategically making sure that he's hearing from the House of Representatives because he's going to move fast. I mean, on his first day, he said at dinner he's going to do over 100 executive orders.
Yeah, and Ogles says Trump is open to breaking up border and other important policies from tax policy, rather than that one big, beautiful bill that Mr. Trump had talked about beforehand. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Got a crash blocking the left shoulder, 24 eastbound as you're approaching I-440. Then downtown Broadway near 8th Avenue. Antioch, 24 eastbound near Haywood Lane. Then a stalled vehicle on the left shoulder. They're 40 eastbound at Spence Lane. Closer to the Gulch, we've got 40 westbound at Broadway, then 40 westbound at near Fessler's Lane. Still got a crash reported by police. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, my Super Talk, Super Text line is littered with crap. Saying that Ken Weaver won nincompoops in the news for the day. 61-96. It's a crappy win for Ken. It's a poopy situation, but I have to vote for Ken. I mean, and on it goes. I mean, the puns just write themselves. Congratulations, Mr. Weaver.
Thank you, boys.
For that victory.
Thank you.
Well, the week is long, Ken Weaver. Don't get too satisfied up there on the top pedestal. We'll get you next time. All right, final hour of the big show starting right now, 7 minutes after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'd love to hear from you as always. Anytime you want to turn a monologue into a dialogue or a dialogue into a trialogue, 615-737-9986. That's the way to do it. I asked the question earlier. The reason I referenced the super text line, I was looking over some of the responses that I received when I talked about the possibility that we would be hearing from gubernatorial candidates over the next couple of months. Now, I understand tomorrow is the first day of the General Assembly, and we've got this education, freedom, scholarship, school choice deal to discuss, and that is going to dominate the news cycle with regard to Tennessee politics over the next several weeks. But before you know it, Jan will become Feb, and Feb will become March, and by the time March rolls around, I would expect that you're going to hear from Congressman John Rose. It's my understanding through sources that I trust that John Rose will be mounting a gubernatorial run. By the way, I'm going to say that word as much as possible because I absolutely love it. It's like a party in my mouth, and everyone's invited.
Gubernatorial?
I mean, it's got everything.
Yeah, that's a fun word to say.
I mean, isn't that fun, Ken Weaver?
Yes.
Gubernatorial.
Gubernatorial.
A lot of fun. Well, the gubernatorial runs will be coming fast and furious coming in March and April. And the expectation is that Glenn Jacobs is considering a run. Now, I did not know, I'm proud to know, Glenn's going to be here tomorrow at 4, pardon me. The current governor, Governor Bill Lee, at 5. So I did not know that Glenn Jacobs had and I'm proud of this lack of knowledge. I first interviewed Glenn Jacobs because he was the Knox County mayor. And something came up, and I at the time, Bell Kay was my producer in the middays, and I said, Bell, get a hold of this fella. And he goes, oh, absolutely. You mean Kane? No, I mean Glenn Jacobs.
Really?
I didn't.
Seriously?
What do you mean? I didn't know. I never did it. Did you do it?
You were never a wrestling fan?
I was never a wrestler.
Oh, yeah, man. I loved it back in the day.
Well, I was a wrestling fan for a minute with my grandpa.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But we were Atlanta, Georgia-based. What was it, WCW?
Yep.
It was the Andersons.
Yep.
Ole and Arn Anderson.
Yes, the Four Horsemen.
The Four Horsemen, Ric Flair.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes.
Who talked with a tongue on the top of their lips.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
I remember. I mean, even when I was a kid, I'm like, wait, this fat guy can wrestle? I mean, he was good.
He was.
But he's a big fella.
He was, man.
Mr. Wrestling. I mean, they said it different. They said Mr. Wrestling It was Mr. Wrestling. The guy that wore the mask.
Mm-hmm.
And that was back in the day when they were constantly trying to demask him. And
oh yeah, that was a big thing.
Oh yeah,
boy.
and I remember watching him again. They demasked the guy, and he had his head under the bottom of the wrestling ring to hide, so nobody knew who he was. So I guess I did follow wrestling.
Yeah, just a little earlier than
a little before the Hogan and the Macho Man. Oh yeah, Macho Man Randy Savage. But apparently Kane came along later.
Yeah.
But I now have been told that he is, top 10 all time?
He is up there, yeah, with some of the best.
Gravedigger and
Undertaker.
I mean,
the Undertaker.
Sorry,
Gravedigger is a monster truck.
Yeah. Had a little fellow named Paul Bearer that was with him.
Yeah. Kane was the Undertaker's brother.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, not in real life.
Sure.
The characters were.
I asked Glenn at an event one time. He was in town to speak before an event, and I was emceeing it. It was the Davidson County Republican Reagan dinner. And I asked him, I said, how bad do you hurt? And he said, you have no idea.
I can only imagine.
I can't. I mean,
they put themselves through a lot.
I mean, yeah, because, despite the fact that eventually, from the time you're a kid till now, you realize that it is a scripted, entertainment-based show but that doesn't mean that they're not falling from the heights that they're jumping. And, it's just...
Yeah, they're athletes, man.
No doubt. Yeah.
I wonder how hard the ring is.
I've been told before, and I think I watched a video about it once, and it's basically just plywood that's covered with the
like
tarp,
a little,
the
goodness.
whatever the
what?
Yeah,
plywood.
Yeah,
I mean,
obviously
is it the same as a boxing ring?
It's supported with it's springy a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay,
but yeah, it's plywood.
It's not springy when they jump off out of the ring and onto one of those folding chairs.
Yeah,
concrete floor.
A concrete floor is not springy at all, Weaver. Mm-hmm. That is a fact.
Well, if you watch, man, they all know exactly how to fall.
Sure.
I mean, they're masters at it.
Which leads me, I'm glad you brought that up. They're like stunt people.
Yeah.
Yep. Which leads me to what I teased in the 3 o'clock hour. We're going to do this now, and we'll get to Zuckerberg in a minute and a couple of other things, and to the Glenn Jacobs comment. So what if I said, what should I binge watch? I binge watched something over the weekend, and I want to know what you fellas, what you're into, what you're binge watching, what you can sit down and just watch a bunch of episodes of, because I'm into this show.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Only Murders in the Building.
Yes.
Are you into it, Ken?
Absolutely.
I love it. Love that show.
Yeah,
Have you watched season 4?
Yes.
All about stunt people.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have not seen that. I would like to watch it. It's just one that I haven't gotten around to.
It it lost a step either in, I guess it was season 2. I thought it was losing something. It picked it back up in season 3, and season 4 I think is as good as the first season. And
I
we
believe so. Yeah.
watched the entire 10 episodes in the span of 6 hours.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was. Absolutely good bingeable show. You got one?
Not that I'm watching currently. I've been watching a lot of these individual sort of series where it's like 6-8 episodes and it tells a story.
Mm-hmm.
I really like one of the ones that I like the most are the ones that are based on the Harlan Coben novels. He's a writer that writes. Most of them are sort of mystery, involve law enforcement a lot, and they set them a lot in England. I think Harlan Coben is an American, but they adapt them for the screen a lot in England. And I watch a lot of those. Those are really, really good. I just finished one of the newest ones, I think.
What is my platform for that? What do I?
I think it was on Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might check that out.
Just look up Harlan Coben. There's tons of them.
I'm a sucker for the quirky detective.
Yeah, me too.
Absolute sucker for the quirky detective.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's old boy who was on Full Metal Jacket, who did the detective on Special Victims Unit for Law and Order.
Oh, Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, there you go.
He's good.
Loved it.
Like
loved
him.
it. I liked Monk.
Yep.
Monk was great.
Was a good one.
Obviously Columbo, classic. And the new one is Will Trent. I recommend Will Trent. It's one of the few network shows that we're watching.
Wow.
Over at the Murphy compound. Will Trent's he's got him a little You'd like it, Weaver. He's got him a little yippy dog, like a little Chihuahua dog.
All right, a little Chihuahua.
Oh yeah,
a little Chihuahua.
He didn't want the Chihuahua, but then he was one of those.
He's got to have it,
and he put it together, and now he's what's her name? Betty.
Betty the Chihuahua.
Betty the Chihuahua. He named her Betty.
All right.
But quirky detective show. I'm all in.
I got one for you.
What do you got?
Watch Bad Monkey.
Ooh, is that with
That's Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn.
Oh, that's an Apple thing. Isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. See, I don't do Apple. So.
And here's the interesting part.
I'll steal for you.
Oh,
or let you steal.
It took me 3 episodes to realize that all of the music is Tom Petty.
Ooh.
But it's other artists singing his songs.
It's all covers of Tom Petty.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I just loved it.
It's set in Florida, right?
Yeah.
But it's just it's a standalone. Like it's got a certain amount of episodes and then it's done.
They're going to have another season.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Very nice.
No, I got the Apple Plus subscription. And of course, once you get these things, I never get rid
cancel
of
them.
I mean, it's ridiculous the amount of money I'm spending on these things, and I don't watch. But I got the Apple Plus for
Severance.
Ted
Lasso.
Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Was on Apple.
That was another
Plus.
one I didn't get to watch that I probably would have enjoyed.
The first season was tip top.
Yeah.
Half of the second season pretty good, and then it kind of.
Yeah, then it just kind of ran out of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I could only take it for so long.
Severance is good on that.
Ooh, I've heard that's good too.
Yeah.
Need to catch up.
There's too much television.
There's so much.
Yeah.
And it's everywhere. We were talking the other day that there was a time when people complained about the cable provider. This cable. All these channels. I pay $200 a month for all of these channels that I don't even watch.
Yeah.
I want to pick what channels I want to watch and just those channels, and I don't want to have all these other channels. And now we live in a day and age where all of it has broken up. At least in as much as a lot of these good shows are on Hulu or Amazon or Disney Plus or Apple Plus,
Paramount, Peacock.
There's
all these different ones. Yeah.
And now I've got a subscription to all of that, which amounts to probably more than I was paying cable.
Yeah.
And people go, "Well, I can't handle all these different subscriptions. Why can't I just watch all this in one place?"
Yeah. I had to restart my YouTube TV thing again, man.
Football.
Well, I forgot that since Oklahoma's in the SEC now, I've got to have a cable subscription, even if I want to watch them on the ESPN app.
Oh, yeah.
So the basketball games were just on the SEC network. I couldn't watch them on the app. I'm going, well, what's going on here?
Yep.
And then
pay, buddy.
I figured it out. So...
And there was a time when I first got to Nashville and lived in the grand old RV park, a convalescence home and Bat Meat Market, that I went to YouTube, and I think even then in 2021, it was like $49.
Yes.
And it was a great alternative. I don't have to pay $200 for a cable deal, and I get 80 channels, and there's perfectly acceptable shows to watch on here, and I am satisfied.
Unending DVR.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
And now it's like $90.
Yeah.
$90.
Yep. I think I was an early adopter to that service because I'm in the Google ecosystem like you guys are with the Apple. So I was early in, and it was less than $40, I think, when I first joined it.
It was when we did too, because you're the one who turned me on to it.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm going to figure out tonight and come back and report how much I pay.
Oh,
I'm going to get sick.
You probably don't want to do it.
I probably don't want to do this because I've got YouTube TV. That's our primary go-to.
Yeah.
I know that we have, our Amazon is included in our Prime, so I won't even include that. I won't count that. But we got a package that's ESPN, Hulu, and Disney.
Right.
It's a package together. I know we do Paramount. I know we've done Peacock.
Yeah.
I know I've got Apple Plus.
Good grief.
I've got, I mentioned YouTube TV. There's another one at the end there. Oh, Max. Almost forgot Max.
Oh, wow. You do that one too.
And like every one of those is what? $12.99 a month?
At least $10 for.
Yeah.
That's they used to be. They're probably all more than that now.
Well, we've got AMC Plus now because we're big Walking Dead fans, and they've got these Walking Dead offshoots. And I'm a big Naked and Afraid fan, so I've got to have Discovery Plus.
Oh, Naked and Afraid. You get Naked and Afraid on the YouTube TV, Ken.
Yeah, but not all of it.
I mean, what? They're more naked?
Well,
more afraid?
They have offshoots.
You know the disappointing thing about those shows? You can't see that they're naked.
Well, and
What's the point?
they've gotten smart now. They've started making themselves clothes out of big leaves.
Or animal hides, the XXXLs that they. I mean, it's getting a little rid. I mean, no.
I just like to see how they survive mosquito bites and stuff.
I mean, it started off. I mean, there was literally a Naked and Afraid when it first started, where they were in Alabama.
Yes,
really.
They were just in the woods of Alabama,
getting eaten
up by bugs and worried about snakes or whatever. And they were just there for 21 days, and it made sense.
Yeah, now it's 40 days.
Now it's and now the all stars go out and they stick around for 60 or more.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a little ridiculous.
This last one I watched had a fella who was going out trying to catch caiman with his hands to eat them.
Wow. That's like a crocodile, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's an Amazon forest crocodile.
Nuts.
Well, see, I doubt the sincerity of the show, and I know that they say that it's all good, but I mean, not one person's gotten. I mean, I guess they do get hurt and they have to tap out.
Some of them have to go home. Yeah, one guy.
He got a foot thing. He got foot rot.
Yeah, got a foot thing. One fella fell out of a tree and did something to his privates.
Wait, it wasn't there a guy that ate bad meat? That was the dude that would eat the dead carcass.
Yeah, that's Gary.
That's Gary.
Gary he will eat rotten meat.
Yeah, that's a smart guy.
He has to crawl out of the boma.
But everybody loved Gary because he climbed the tree with all of the bees stinging him and got the honey.
Yeah.
And Ken Weaver and I should start a podcast.
We should.
We call
Last night on.
We call it partially closed and mildly confused.
Did you see what Gary ate last night?
It was disgusting. That's all I know. All right, that's the television entertainment portion of the broadcast day. It's 22 after the hour on Super Talk. Well, here's all I know is that if you're watching Naked and Afraid, you'll see a lot of bugs. They could do well to call J.K. and Erica Brister at U.S. Pest. I bet you that U.S. Pest, if they had the ability, they could de-pestify the entire continent of Africa and make it better for those Naked and Afraid folks. One way or the other, they can certainly make it better for your life. If you're tired of pest in 2025, it's time to get a monthly service with U.S. Pest. They're not going to try to upsell you on anything. They'll come, they'll give you a free inspection, and they'll just tell you what they see. And then you can decide from there. I know, because even before I was a spokesperson for U.S. Pest, I had Jesse, a friendly U.S. Pest agent, walk up to my home and offer me U.S. Pest protection. And I love it. I absolutely love it. Go to uspest.com for more information about full-service pest control, termite protection, and crawl space service. The bugs and the creepy crawlies and the rodents, they want what you have. Warmth and food. You need to stop them from U.S. Pest. U.S. Pest, 590-1260. That's 590-1260. Tell them I sent you.
Hundreds of Marines on standby to help out in the California wildfires. That's not all. We'll tell you more coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, so if this is I'm not doing it, by the way. I've decided I'm not officially totaling any of this up. I'm going to start canceling things.
Yeah.
I just did some quick math. You got to count your Wi-Fi, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You do.
I got Xfinity Wi-Fi, YouTube. So Wi-Fi, YouTube TV, and the ones that I can remember that I have, which are Hulu, Paramount, Apple, Max, and Peacock.
What about Netflix? Did you count Netflix?
I did not count Netflix.
Oh, yeah, you got to put Netflix in there, dude.
Oh, gosh, that's Netflix. What is that? That's $20, isn't it? Yeah, it's about $20.
Good.
I don't even know. That's how bad it is.
I know. It is how bad it is.
It's just automatic.
So I got Hulu. I got the Hulu and the ESPN and that at 20.
Yeah.
Paramount at 12. Apple at 12. I think I'm low. Max at 16, if memory serves me correctly. Peacock at 12. Netflix at 20. YouTube TV at 90. Man. So remember when we complained about the cable bill that was $220 and how ridiculous that was?
Yeah.
And that included your internet, right? Or at least mine did. I'm up to $280.
Yeah. I guarantee I guarantee I'm at 300.
Oh, I guarantee I am too, kid. Man, I want, I've occasionally thought, and I don't know, maybe somebody that has done, there's an ad that runs around. I don't want to give them free advertising that talks about they will find all of your subscriptions that you have and figure it out and show you exactly what you're paying for. Mm-hmm. Part of me wants to do that.
Me too.
They probably charge a subscription to do it for you.
They do. I'm sure they do. I mean, I don't think they're going to do it for free. Hey, sure, we cost $29.99, but we'll save you.
See, I could save $90 if I just didn't like football. But I love it too much. I've got to have it.
Football.
And baseball.
Live sporting events and the news.
Yes.
Because I'm still addicted to watch. I mean, it's a commitment that I make. I know Brian made it as well. We both, independently of one another, have said that we'll watch so you don't have to.
Yes.
And I watch #NeverCNN because it's an occupational hazard, so you don't have to.
Yep.
And if I wasn't addicted to breaking news events and sports.
Yeah. Me too.
And Bob's Burgers.
We could go get hypnotized. We could get hypnotized. That's what I'm talking about. We should get hypnotized to not like sports anymore and see what happens.
You know what? If Weber finds the guy, we'll bring it and schedules it. I'll let him try to hypnotize me.
Live on the air.
Live on the air.
Clucking like a chicken.
Imagine what we could do with that money.
Later that evening, Matt Murphy was found on a tube ride, pantsless.
He was tubing around.
On Lower Broadway.
He was on a pedal tavern with no pants.
Clucking like a chicken.
But he wasn't watching TV.
but he wasn't watching live sports or football.
He saved $300.
Yeah, well, and spent it all on the old pedal tavern.
His bail money is only $500.
Well, I wonder, Weber, do that for us at some point. Just investigate whether there's a hypnotist that can get Ken off the foosball.
Well, see, now I'm afraid of that. I don't want to be hypnotized.
What
if it doesn't go away?
Well, you're worried like in the next, 10 or so years when Oklahoma's good again? Yeah. See what I did there? Whoa! See what I did there?
Exactly.
In the next 8, 10, 12 years.
Yeah. When they finally catch up.
When they finally have a winning campaign.
You mean when they're in the MEAC?
Well, it's 31 after the hour. We need less of MEAC and more of Kenac on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. High winds on the way, and that means the Los Angeles wildfires may spread, forcing more evacuations. This was President Biden at a briefing today.
I've activated 500 Marines from the base in Pendleton to stand by to help in search and rescue, airlift support, and food and water distribution.
Alex Stone says an elite team of federal investigators has arrived.
15 members of the ATF's National Response Team, or NRT, have arrived here in L.A. to begin trying to figure out the cause and origin of the deadly Pacific Palisades fire. The NRT is considered the nation's experts on fire scene investigations and is launched when expertise is needed. They analyze burn patterns and evidence. The team is made up of special agents, chemists, and engineers.
Right now in Nashville, the Chancery Court judge has rejected a lawsuit seeking to block the half-cent sales tax increase that will help pay for the new transit plan. So that half-cent sales tax increase goes into effect on February 1st. And the plan is full steam ahead. Money News, Michelle Franzen.
Markets were mixed in Monday trading as Wall Street recovered some losses from last week's slide. The Dow gained 359 points by the end of the day. The S&P fell 9 points, and the Nasdaq lost 74 points. Shares of pharmaceutical giant Moderna fell Monday after the vaccine maker predicted a steep sales drop in the new year. Analysts had expected Moderna to come close to last year's $3 billion in revenue. Starbucks is reversing its policy of allowing the general public to linger or use the bathroom at its cafes, whether they make a purchase or not. The change is aimed at reversing a drop in customer traffic and sales. Chip makers are pushing back on proposed federal rules on exporting advanced computer chips used to develop artificial intelligence. The administration cites national security concerns and preserving U.S. leadership in AI development.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, got a crash 24 eastbound as you're approaching 440. The left shoulder is blocked. And then in Belmont, we've got a crash 440 eastbound at Hillsborough Pike. That's going to be right there at exit 3. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN having a titillating conversation off air about the musical group Pantera. I don't know how I missed that. I mean, you and you're a little younger than me.
Yeah.
Have you divulged how old you are on the radio?
Probably. I have a birthday tomorrow.
Oh, your
I will
birthday?
be 46.
Hey, happy birthday.
Yeah.
I'm glad we had this conversation. Now I need to go get you a card.
Would not have said anything now.
Oh boy. There's going to be a big
Can't take it back.
Big to-do tomorrow on the show. Big birthday extravaganza on the Tuesday edition of the Matt. You know who I'm going to get for your birthday?
What's that?
I'm going to get Governor Bill Lee to come on the show.
Ooh, what
Just
I
for your
always
birthday.
wanted.
Just for your birthday. And, I'll tell you what, Glenn Jacobs will stop by.
That's pretty good.
For you. That's better than Bill Lee for you.
Pretty good birthday celebration.
Yeah, so we're getting better all the time.
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday. So you're 46 now?
No, I will be tomorrow.
46 tomorrow. So, yeah, we're close. I'm 51. So I don't know how. I got, if you missed the ad, and if you're listening online, maybe you did miss the ad. There was an advertisement for it. When is that coming?
It's this summer, I think.
But it's like a Nissan Stadium deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big-time deal.
Yeah, 2 nights.
Metallica is obviously a huge act.
Mm-hmm.
Suicidal Tendencies. Are you surprised that they haven't been made to change their name? I don't know.
At this point, no. I don't think they would tell you,
Confederate Railroad. They made Confederate Railroad. They tried to make Confederate Railroad change their name, but not Suicidal Tendencies. Well, anyway, I got in, but Pantera I never got into. Is Pantera the band that they wear the masks?
No, that's Slipknot.
Oh, my bad.
That came after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Pantera just a version of the other like heavy metal?
Yeah, they're a thrash band like Metallica.
Band.
Yeah, they've been around. Their heyday was in the early to mid 90s.
Okay.
Yep.
And so that was your jam.
Yeah, I loved them when I was in high school. Yep.
Okay. So are you going?
No. Yeah.
If you got tickets for your birthday, would you go?
If I got tickets, I would go.
I mean, not that I'm getting your tickets for your birthday, but just randomly, if
someone gave
benefactor.
me tickets, I would go. Yeah, my kid wants to go too. He's asked for it, and it's like,
oh, come on. I mean, isn't your son 16, 17?
He's 16. Is that 17? Yeah.
It's a dad-son bonding moment.
The problem is that right now you can only buy tickets for both days. I don't want to go twice.
Wait, what?
Yeah, because they're doing 2 shows, 2 nights, different sets each night.
So they're just trying to.
And I think I think they're splitting it up like the opener. One night will be Pantera, one night will be Suicidal Tendencies. I don't want to go both nights. I just want to go one night, the night Pantera plays.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't buy single night tickets yet, so I haven't committed to it yet. But it's Nissan Stadium, and I don't like all the people. But that's the only way I'd ever see them. So
I mean, somebody asked me. I guess it was Chad Benson and I talking during the cross. We were talking about the inauguration and the pomp and circumstance of the inauguration. And I am so happy. I cannot tell you how elated I am that Donald Trump's going to be our 47th president of the United States. But I was offered, Americans for Prosperity offered me an opportunity, and a couple of other organizations that will go unnamed said, hey, do you want to come up? Well, a couple of things. One, we're just starting this show.
Mm-hmm.
So I did not want to leave the friendly confines of the studio. I didn't want to miss any of the show. And I don't feel like there's anything that I will have the opportunity to do up there that would overcome the amount of people. I mean, the massive amount. Yeah. I mean, you and I love our Georgia Bulldogs. You go to Bulldog games.
Mm-hmm.
I go to Bulldog games. My love of the Georgia Bulldogs barely overcomes my hatred of going into crowds.
Yeah.
I mean, we share that.
Yeah, it's a commitment that I make, but not very often.
That's why you should have taken the opportunity to go to see the Tennessee Titans right at the end of the season. I know I went, and there was only like, I don't know, 10,000 people there, 15,000 people.
Pick your seat.
Oh yeah,
wherever you want to go. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and no waiting, just right up to the beer girl and get yourself a beer. Well, happy early birthday, and we will celebrate all afternoon long tomorrow. Now that we know,
can we wipe that from existence?
We cannot.
I didn't say that.
I'm sorry to tell you. We now know. Oh, and look at the birthday wishes just pouring in.
I can't accept them right now.
9550 says, Chris, I just turned 61 and I still love Slipknot. And that signed, there's a lot of boxes here. Signed Susan.
Wow.
Female 61 Slipknot lover. Okay.
Rock on.
Insane Clown Posse. wore masks back then too.
No, that was face paint. It wasn't a mask.
Well,
the Juggalos. That was their fans.
I feel very old when I have conversations about thrash metal because my brother was all, and I think that's probably why my brother was all into Metallica. I mean, and all
He
of
was
them.
older or younger?
He was slightly older.
Okay.
Like 2 years older.
Yeah.
He
Yeah, because
was in-
Metallica started, they started in the very early 80s is when they first came around.
I mean, he was Megadeth, Metallica.
Yeah.
I think there was it Method of Destruction? I don't know. He was all into it, and I'm like, it just, every song sounds, I know, I sound old, the same.
I can agree with that on some level because I don't like all of it. There's a lot of metal that I do not like. I like Ken Weaver is into the hardcore, some of the hardcore metal.
Wait, Weaver is into hardcore metal?
Oh yeah, he loves it. He loves it.
I'm learning something.
And there's some stuff that he is into that's like, I don't want to be
too much.
I don't want to be screamed at, first of all. I cannot do the no. I'm out.
I mean, that's what all of it, sounds like to me is.
Some of it does. Some of it does.
It's like a Muppet.
But there are certain bands out there that there's a little melody involved.
Okay.
And I like a little melody.
All right. Well, to each their own. One thing you'll learn about me, all of you will learn about me. I do not succeed at times, but I try not to make a matter of taste a matter of fact. And I think there's too much of that goes around. Like,
see, I have no problem doing that.
Right? Because if you're in conversation with someone and you're talking about something that is artistic in nature and it's a matter of taste, and somebody says, man, I love Pantera, and they will say, Pantera's awful.
Right.
Well, you just made a matter of taste a matter. Well, it's awful to you. That's fine. It's great to me. Don't tell me that it's awful to me because I know it's not.
Yeah.
Damn, Chad Benson did it earlier today with White Castle, and I didn't like it.
He said White Castle was awful?
He said White Castle was horrible, awful.
Wow.
I'm like, well, maybe to you, but more for me. Whatever.
Depends on what time of day it is.
Well, but then I learned that Chad he's never been a drinking man. And I was like, well, that
explains it.
That explains a lot. All right, so Mark Zuckerberg has gotten religion. I want to get to this real quick before we have to say goodbye. Look, I don't know if we believe it or not. I don't know if it's faithful or not, but I know that it's real in as much as he's ended third-party censorship on Facebook. And look, I get it, and I don't blame you. I'm just being more of an optimist than you and say, look, let's take the good where we can get it, right? So Zuckerberg did wrong for a long time. Now he's trying to get right. He's getting religion really quickly. And we could suggest that's because Trump's going to get comeuppance. We can suggest that he's bowing before the altar of Trump. You can suggest that his feelings on the matter at this point aren't faithful or true. That's all well and good, as long as the outcome is the right outcome. And what I love is that he's also now telling tales out of school. Mark Zuckerberg with Joe Rogan last Friday on the Biden administration and just how much hardball they were playing.
These people from the Biden administration would call up our team and scream at them and curse, and it's like these documents it's all kind of out there.
Did you record any of those phone calls?
I don't think we were, but I think
I want to listen.
I mean, there are emails. the emails are published. It's all kind of out there, and they're like, and basically it just got to this point where we were like, no, we're not gonna take down things that are true. That's ridiculous. They wanted us to take down this meme of Leonardo DiCaprio looking at a TV talking about how 10 years from now or something, you're going to see an ad that says, okay, if you took a COVID vaccine, you're eligible for, for this kind of payment, this sort of class action lawsuit type meme. And they're like, no, you have to take that down. And we said, no, we're not going to take down humor and satire. We're not going to take down things that are true. And then at some point, I guess, I don't know, it flipped a bit. I mean, Biden, when he gave some statement at some point, I don't know if it was a press conference or to some journalists, where he basically was like, these guys are killing people. And I don't know, then all these different agencies and branches of government basically just started investigating, coming after our company. It was brutal. It was brutal.
Well, you probably you know, you deserve whatever comeuppance comes out of all of this, but at least we're getting a little bit of truth now. Now, a part of the narrative that I want to focus in on, you know, all of this is, I mean, none of this is news to us, right? I mean, we all felt this. I mean, I know we felt it in our industry. We felt incredible pressure to say certain things and not say certain things in our industry. And many of us fought back and pushed back against that pressure. I am, and not government pressure, just general societal pressure. The idea that liberal Democrats think that they not only should but do have the authority to tell free people what they can and cannot say in public platforms is astounding. Those are the actions of dictatorships. Those are the actions of a government that is willing to shut down any and all dissent. And they use as an excuse, well, they'll kill people. Now, if you don't believe that this is still going on, and if you don't believe that this mindset still exists, I got news for you. It is still going on, and the mindset does still exist. See no further than Jen Rubin. Jennifer Rubin, you may not know, she, up until the time Trump came along, she described herself, which is obviously a complete lie, as the Washington Post conservative columnist. She was a conservative Republican, she said. She was never a conservative. She was never a Republican. She was nothing more than a statist in Washington, D.C., and she said this over the weekend.
Talk broad themes. You have to boil it down to nuts and bolts, and you have to be pithy. What do I mean by pithy? How about this? Republicans want to kill your kids. It's actually true. If you're going to oppose vaccinations, if you're going to stop breakthrough medical research, if you're going to allow minors and all sorts of people to get semi-automatic weapons, which they use to shoot up schools, well, then you are responsible for kids' health and death, unfortunately. It has to be that simple and that direct, and it has to be over and over and over again.
If you believe this, and obviously this woman is absolutely delusional if she thinks, I mean, I don't think for a moment she actually believes this. A political disagreement about whether government-forced vaccinations are legal or appropriate, or a political disagreement about the importance of constitutional rights to self-protection. That in no way equates to Republicans want to kill people or Republicans want to kill children. And obviously I could poke holes until the cows come home on her comment. But if you believe that, and if Jen Rubin believes that, and if her fellow liberals in the Biden administration believe that, then of course they believe that they have the right to shut you down by any means necessary because you want to kill kids. They'll put you in jail. They'll put you in jail. I appreciate Zuckerberg, whether he's being honest or truthful or not. I'm glad at least he's coming around now. 52 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy, and I want to tell you about a wonderful organization located in Franklin called Grace Point Healthcare. I became aware of Grace Point Healthcare listening to Super Talk 99.7 WTN and Brian Wilson talk about the wonderful nature of what they do as a primary care provider. I went to see Dr. Rob and the rest of the crew at Grace Point Healthcare, and I'm so proud to be able to tell you about them. What does this mean for you? They call themselves old-fashioned, or modern medicine, I should say, deliver the old-fashioned way. Modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way, meaning that nothing comes between your relationship with your medical care provider. Not insurance companies, not pharmaceutical companies. As a matter of fact, the doctors at Grace Point Healthcare, they want to solve your issue without pills. They want to solve your issue by working directly with you in a holistic way, a comprehensive medical approach that's pretty unique nowadays, and I hate to say it, but it is true. What about a pay plan called the Basic Smart Care Plan that's just $69 a month and offers free office visits whenever you need them, free basic diagnostics and labs. This is what could be yours by making a telephone call that so many others have made to Grace Point Healthcare. Call today at 599-6868. That's 599-6868. Tell them that I sent you to Grace Point Healthcare.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy for another 2 minutes. I'll hand off to the great one, Mark Levin, coming up in just a moment. Boy, oh boy, you got to get on your knees tonight. I mean, if you're a praying type of person, I would beg of you to get on your knees tonight and pray for California because they need some sort of spiritual, godly intervention. Sadly, they're not getting a lot of leadership help. There was not a tremendous amount of preventative help that came prior to the events that are coming down. And apparently some of the residents that escaped the first round of fires, I should say, are concerned that the winds, the high rate of winds, storm-like winds, blowing at 80 to gust of 100 miles an hour, the Santa Ana winds, they're known. They're back up, they're running, and more to come later on this week. So you worry about it and you pray about it. You concern yourself with it. Coming up tomorrow, Governor Bill Lee will tell us whether or not there will be a special session. That is the question. The suggestion has been made that when the General Assembly gavels in tomorrow to begin their general session, what I'm hearing on the ground is that they will then gavel out for recess, and the governor will call them into a special session to deal exclusively with the Education Scholarship or Choice Act that the governor wants them to deal with. Plus, there's some monies going to East Tennessee as well. We will talk with the governor at 5 o'clock about that tomorrow. Glenn Jacobs coming up at 4 o'clock tomorrow. We'll talk to him about a variety of issues to include whether or not he's considering running for governor. That's all to come. Until then, have a wonderful evening. Mark Levin up next. Hope to talk with you tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Until then, so long, everybody.
From ABC News, I'm Richard Cantu. A special counsel's report on Hunter Biden is out.
The special counsel who investigated the president's son says he brought the charges against Hunter Biden because, quote, he broke the law. David Weiss says the unanimous jury who convicted Hunter Biden of gun charges agreed, and Biden himself pleaded guilty to tax violations. In his final report, Weiss takes particular issue with the president's statement